Aita for telling my daughter's half-sister we're not going to adopt her. My husband and I adopted my daughter, Sophia, 5F, 3 years ago. Sophia is biologically my half-sister. My father and his wife died very suddenly, leaving behind Sophia, and his wife's other daughter, Hannah, 9. Hannah is currently in the care system. She lives in a group home that is equipped for her needs. We try to get the girls together every couple of weeks for supervised visits. Sophia has always been aware that she is adopted, which normally happen with their maternal grandmother, who I'll call Lori. Lori has been combative with us since we met her, because she thought it was wrong for us not to adopt Hannah as well as Sophia, even though she is well aware of why it wasn't the right choice for our family. All this to say, when I say I think I know where Hannah has been getting certain ideas, I am pretty certain. Hannah has always made little comments about living with us one day. She's used to say, one day when me and Sophia live together, or reference the girls sharing a room, or talk about pets she wants when she can move home. We've always tried to play this off so as not to upset her, and I really figured she would grow out of it. Her social worker said she definitely would grow out of it, but it never happened. Nowadays, she makes comments about being good so she can come with us, and makes an over-the-top effort to show off her achievements when we are there on visits. She's even started being disparaging about anything Sophia does and constantly one-upping her. It's really sad to see, and no one listens when I say that someone needs to stop feeding into all this. I know they all want her to behave, but Lori is constantly validating her saying this stuff, and I hate that. The social worker just says it's good that Hannah is making strides with her behavior. This just seems cruel and manipulative, like they're letting this carrot dangle in front of this kid so that they can benefit without thinking what this will do to her. So a month ago we were out and Hannah once again brought up that she wants a horse if she's come to live with us. Lori smiled and said that would be really nice, but she will have to be a good girl to get a horse, and I just looked at her like WTF. I told Hannah that she wouldn't be able to live with us, because she was very loved at the home where she is and they take really good care of her, and that we couldn't do enough of a good job at that. Hannah didn't really seem to understand what I was saying, but she didn't hug us goodbye like normal when we dropped her back. When we picked her up the last 2 times to go out, she was really quiet and sullen and didn't want to do anything. She wouldn't play or take part in anything we did. According to Lori, Hannah has been acting up at home and school as well. She's blaming me. I take the blame for this change, I get it. But I still feel like ultimately someone needed to have that conversation with Hannah, because how long was she meant to believe she could earn being adopted? And how bad was it going to be to come to the realization in however many years that everyone lied to her? But I'm also worried that I've damaged things, because if Hannah stops wanting to see Sophia, I'll have ruined their relationship. And I'm not a trained professional, I maybe didn't say it in the right way. Her social worker didn't think it was a problem, so many I should have left it. I feel crappy about it, even though I don't think I was wrong in my intentions. Edit. Why didn't we adopt Hannah? Hannah has medical and psychological complexities as a result of her early life that are not insignificant. We are not equipped financially, materially, or emotionally to provide the care she needs and deserves. Why doesn't Lori have custody of Hannah? Lori has health issues and lives in a senior community. She can't take care of Hannah full-time. Relevant comments. I clarifies her relationship with her father and his wife before their passings, and if Sophia understands she is adopted. Reply. Firstly, I never met Hannah's mother. My father was absent in my life for many years before they got together because he was an addict and a bad person. I saw him very rarely, and even then it was mostly because he was begging for something. He was not in my life. I only met Sophia after he died. Yes, Sophia knows she's adopted. She doesn't know that my dad was her dad, but she knows we are related but not her biological parents. And yes, if Sophia wasn't my half-sister I wouldn't have adopted her. Because we never planned to adopt. We planned to have a biological child, but Sophia came into our lives and the plan changed. That's not a gotcha. I didn't grow up my whole life planning to adopt, so how would this situation have come about if she wasn't related to me? We didn't choose not to adopt Hannah because of some misplaced hatred for a woman we never met. We chose not to adopt her because we were not financially or emotionally equipped to give her the care she needs. And that does for every other child on earth that we haven't adopted. In life, it's your job to know what you can take on. OOP explains her conversations with the social worker about Sophia and Hannah having chances of being adopted together. Reply. The social worker told me repeatedly they had almost no chance of being placed together. Sophia had a very good chance for adoption, Hannah didn't. They were going to place them separately after a period of time so that Sophia could get adopted. If it wasn't us, it was probably going to be someone else. Someone else after a period of trauma for her. If they said they were definitely going to keep them together, maybe we'd have chosen differently. But I still think we give our daughter a great life and are good parents to her. We have her checking with a child psychologist and we're doing our best. Where is Hannah's biological father? Why isn't he stepping up? Reply, I don't know where her father is. I never met her mother, or inquired about her biological father. OOP clarifies up details on how Hannah was placed at the group home instead of a foster home. Reply, I didn't choose to send her to the care home. They have a shortage of appropriate foster homes for her and that's where they placed her. I had no say in that or what level of support she has. Sure, Sophia could have been living with Hannah, most likely in the same group home. If as an adult she thinks that would have been better for her, I'll take the blame for that. I don't agree, but that will be up to her. Taking in Hannah is not an option for us. We don't have the resources, materially or emotionally, or within our lifestyle, to provide care for her. Taking on more than you can handle does no good for anyone, least of all for our daughter, whose quality of life would take a nosedive. Commenter, honestly, just get a child psychologist for your daughter and work this out professionally. Clearly, the social worker and Lori are more interested in keeping Hannah's behavior right even with lies. Being told to be good to get a place in your home is so cruel. It also may not be good for Hannah to see her sister get the happily ever after she won't get. Sometimes we need to let kids act out so they can process their emotions. I think you need to pull back and focus on your daughter and what's good for her. NTA. Reply, Sophia has regular check-ins with a child psychologist. We're not doing them weekly anymore because that's not what she advised. But if she spots any issues we can definitely increase. Update. Hi. I'm not sure if anyone wanted this update but I hate reading posts that don't have an update so I'm updating for anyone who might feel the same. First of all, thank you to everyone who gave helpful advice and who was genuine in their responses. After reading everything, I still think I was probably a little bit of an asshole to spring the comment on Hannah like that. My frustration got the better of me and I can't put the genie back in the bottle, but I'll always regret it. That being said, I still also think it's best that she knows. I spoke to the child psychologist that Sophia sees and she said that there was no reason to cut contact between the girls and that it's always recommended, unless in cases of actual abuse. So, we've continued the visits. However, as some people suggested, we've now stopped doing them with Lori or me involved. The girls now see each other as Hannah's group home and a care worker is able to supervise the visits. I am not sure if in the long run this is how we will do things because I'm not entirely comfortable with it but I think it's better that the girls have as independent a relationship as possible. As for Lori, we're cutting down on contact with her. I know she is Sophia's grandmother and I don't doubt that she loves her but she hasn't been a constructive influence so far, especially when we told her about the visiting plan going forward, so we are keeping her at arm's length. She will still see Sophia if she wants but at our convenience and with the understanding that she be more respectful. I'm not sure what else to include as it's not been a very explosive conclusion to the issue. But I think things have worked out for the best. Thank you again to everyone who provided feedback. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, seems you found a good solution. You should of course ask Sophia after the visit how it went and all that. Reply, she's been twice, and she had a good time overall. There's a couple of things that she wasn't used to but nothing that a kid wouldn't experience in kindergarten, it's just a different environment. But we're going to keep checking in with her. Commenter 2, does Sophia want to visit Hannah? Does she enjoy these visits? Does Hannah want Sophia to visit? Reply, Sophia likes visiting Hannah. I wouldn't say it's something she talks or thinks about in between visits, but she knows it's part of her routine and she is happy to go. I guess it's like seeing a cousin. You don't necessarily miss them or beg to see them but you have fun when you're together. Hannah seems to be happy to see Sophia, from what I've observed. Hannah experiences certain delays so she and Sophia are not too far apart in interests development. I know that may not always be the case as Hannah gets older and the age gap may become more pronounced but for now it seems to work. What are the plans if when Hannah gets older and starts to resent Sophia out of jealousy? Reply, unfortunately that's not in our control. If contact between the girls starts to become a negative experience then we will revisit that with guidance from our child psychologist. Will OOP and her husband be able to adopt Hannah at some points in the future? Reply, time will not change the fact that we are not able to provide her with the home and care that she needs. Stories number 2. Aita for asking my fiancé relatives to pay for themselves after they brought uninvited guests to our pre-wedding dinner. I, 30M, am engaged to my fiancé, 29F, and we're getting married this fall. Last weekend, we hosted a small pre-wedding dinner. Just a chill evening for our immediate families to meet, talk and celebrate a bit before the real wedding chaos begins. We reserved a table at a mid-range restaurant we both like, good food, not crazy expensive. We confirmed 14 guests, our parents, siblings plus 2 friends from the wedding party. Everything was set. I even called ahead to double-check the head count. We show up and her family brings 4 extra people, her cousin and his wife, who were visiting anyway, her sister's boyfriend, and, weirdly, his teenage daughter. They said it was last minute and, hope that's okay. The staff were gracious, though somewhat surprised. They had to push another table over and reshuffle the whole seating plan. We ended up waiting around 15 minutes, apologizing to the servers. Not a disaster, but definitely awkward. Dinner itself was fine. Everyone had a good time. We had mains, some shared appetizers, a few bottles of wine, nothing too wild. But when the check came, it was a bit over $850. We'd expected around $650 based on the confirmed guests and menu. So, I quietly asked the server to split the extras meals from the rest. I paid for the 14 we planned for. The extra $200 from the uninvited guests. I felt that wasn't really on us, lol. Everyone paid without fuss, but her cousin seemed confused. Her sister didn't say anything at the time, but later my fiancée told me she felt embarrassed and that I made her family feel unwelcome. She said I could have just let it go for one night and brought it up later. I said I didn't want to pretend everything was fine while people ignore basic plans we made together. She said it felt like I turned a family dinner into a power move over money. Now things are somewhat weird between us. So, Aita, update, thanks for all the comments, it was very cool to read different opinions. Unfortunately, I can't possibly answer everyone. So, we had a talk. It wasn't super dramatic or anything, just, kind of weird. But her relatives texted me later saying, no worries, and that they didn't mean to cause issues, which was quite decent of them. My fiancée still a little distant though. Said she needs time to think about how we handle stuff as a couple, so I guess we'll see. Stories number 3. Aita for offering to make sweet 16 favors for my coworker's daughter and scaling down what I was planning on doing after she was rude to me. I run a small family party business from my home as a second job. My coworker is a single mom with 5 kids. Over the years I have offered a few times to make party favors and decorations for her kids' parties as a gift. Things are a struggle for her and I just wanted to do something nice for her kids. I buy all the supplies and my labor is free and is their gift. The scale and cost of everything changes depending on the event. I do this for my nieces and nephews as well. I enjoy doing it and I think it makes people happy. A few weeks ago I offered to make sweet 16 favors and some decorations for a small restaurant party for my coworker's daughter. One night I FaceTimed with the mother and the daughter and we were discussing colors. She picked light blue and light pink as her color scheme. That's not colors I normally would associate with a sweet 16 and I mentioned it to her that I was concerned it would look more like a baby shower. She snapped at me and said I want light blue and light pink. Okay, got it. A few days later, I'm speaking to the mother that I wasn't finding a lot of sweet 16 items in that color scheme. She picks up the phone and calls her daughter on speaker phone and explains to her the issue. The daughter abruptly says, what part of light pink and light blue does she not understand? I know she is a child and has had a rough road but I'm Aita for not going the extra mile making them. I offered to make favors and I will make sure they are beautiful. But any joy I have making them is totally gone. Normally, I would do a couple of surprises along with the favors, but I just don't have it in me and I feel terrible for being upset at a child. I feel like such a terrible person. Any advice on what I should do? OOP provided answers to frequently asked questions. Here is some answers to a few similar questions. When the daughter snapped me, the mother half-heartedly apologized to me, saying you understand teenagers. And I do understand teenagers. Normally, when I offer to do favors for someone, we discuss the colors and what I can offer for the party. I will give the person my honest opinion and make sure they're aware that I might not have exactly what they want. She wanted things that said sweet 16 in her specific color choice, light blue and light pink. I was unable to find that. I can find pink alone, but not the combo. I wanted to make sure she understood. Not to criticize her, but just to make she was aware it might not be exactly what she was looking for. It's not worth my time to make something for someone if it's not exactly what they want. I ask clients and family members to make sure I understand what they want. I have no personal opinion of any kind. I could care less what colors people pick or theme they use. Not my business. But I'm not gonna shield away from being honest. I will explain to them the situation issue and let them decide what they want. I have offered my services for free for 1 million events. School events, teen fundraisers, nursing home gifts and thousands of raffle baskets. All for free. Remember, this is my second job, money is tight. If I offer something, it's with a whole heart. I've known this child since she was an infant, and I am upset. I want to do something beautiful for her but I can't get over the fact that she was just so rude. I feel the mother should have corrected her. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Maybe they also want to come out as non-binary and doesn't want to say that out loud yet. Reply. My husband asked me the same thing. Honestly, I don't think so. I think if she wanted to do that, I think the mother would be open to that. I definitely would be open and would be excited to do that for if that was her choice. Update. Last week I was looking for advice on a situation. I run a small party business from my home as a second job. I had offered to make sweet 16 favors for a coworker's daughter who was having a small restaurant party. I was paying for all the supplies and the favors were my gift. My coworker is a single mom with 5 kids. I really offered because of my relationship with the mother. We worked together over 20 years and I really do love her. She's had a very hard road the last few years. 2 really crappy husbands, and honestly terrible taste in men. I was discussing the color scheme with the daughter and mom over FaceTime and she had mentioned that she wanted light blue and light pink as her colors. I don't typically associate those colors with a sweet 16, I was slightly concerned it might look like a baby shower. She was not happy with that statement and repeated light pink and light blue, in a super harsh tone. A few days later, I spoke to the mother and I explained to her I was having issues finding what her daughter wanted in those colors. She called her on speakerphone with me in the room and the daughter say loudly, "What part of light blue and light pink does she not understand?" I walked away super upset. I had planned on making her favors and then surprising her with going to the restaurant before the party and use matching tablecloths, chair covers and fancy balloon centerpieces. The mother and I had talked about this, but the daughter did not know. It was going to be surprise. I just didn't feel like doing the extras after she acted like that. Answers to all the questions that came in. The daughter absolutely knew that this was my free gift to her, she knows there's no charge for this. She knew that I was on the call both times. A number of people thought I was rude for saying I didn't like the color scheme. Unfortunately I'm a doormat, the daughter set the tone of the conversation early on, and there was no way to get it on a positive tone. All I could think is that she didn't like having a small party and that she wanted something much bigger but her mother cannot afford it. A number of people thought that this might be a coming out party of some kind, I know that it's not. A number of people thought I was being too sensitive. That I needed to get over a rude 16-year-old. I deal with rude people every day and I do it with a smile. Honestly, it's a gift. Being rude just means you're not happy. But I was upset because I've known this child since the day she came home from the hospital. I would have hoped I meant a little more to her. Apparently, I was incorrect. I know better now. A number of people thought the mom was wrong for not correcting the daughter immediately, sadly I agreed. It was such an uncomfortable conversation. She apologized for her being a teenager when we got off the phone. I thought it was a cop-out. I definitely think the daughter has the upper hand in the mother-daughter relationship. Getting me involved is just awful. Lastly, so many people told me not to make the favors, to tell the daughter that I was unable to find what she wanted and unable to make them. I am going to make the favors, but I'm not going to do anything else. I had budgeted $150 to make the 18 favors. To be honest with you, I'm broke. $150 is definitely something I don't need to spend, especially on a kid who is extremely rude. I totally offered and I will absolutely make them, but I'm not going to do anything else. Let's explain me, I can't help volunteering. No matter what it is, I'm the first one to volunteer. I offer my time and my party supplies, way too easily. I am at the point now where I do more free labor work than I get paid. Even if somebody pays for the supplies, it never covers the whole thing. It always cost me something. I have to start working on getting paid parties and less free stuff, but I'm really having a hard time with so many people who are so used to getting my services for free. Last week a woman asked me to make favors for her daughter's college bed party. In the past, she had paid for only my supplies. I explained to her that I could no longer do it, but I would have to charge her and give her a good discount. She was totally upset that I had the nerve to ask her to pay. I've done 4 or 5 things for her for free in the past, but for some reason, she felt I was in the wrong. She bitched to so many people about me, how dare I charge her? Meanwhile, we're not even close friends. My Reddit family is a harsh judge. You have given me some perspective to realize that all of this is absolutely my fault, that I allowed my friend's daughter to talk to me that way and that I'm stupid for making the favors. I just don't have it in me to not make them. But it's really pushing me to take a stand and set some kind of boundaries because I can't keep giving it away for free. It is going to be the death of me. I'm way too stressed about meeting deadlines for people for free and not taking on more paid work. Wish me luck. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. What the heck is a college bed party? Reply. After a girl is accepted into college, she invites all her friends over and they bring over 1 million different things in the colors of the school. If they get it, accepted into a school where the colors are blue, people bring over blue stuff. Sweatshirts in the school colors, blue Doritos, blue soda, blue gummy sharks. If they get accepted to school with red, they get red Doritos and red Gatorades. They decorate the girls' bed and all the new swag. It started during the pandemic and now it's become a thing. It's only for girls not boys. Update. A few weeks back, I asked for advice. I had offered to make Sweet 16 favors for the daughter of a longtime coworker friend Sweet 16. She was having 20 girls at a small restaurant. The favors were my gift and I had $150 budget. My friend coworker is a single mom of 5. I just wanted to try to do something nice for my friend. I have a small family party business as a second job and I thought I could help. I fully admit I'm a doormat and I offer to help people way more than anybody would offer to help me. It's so hard for me not to offer. I had FaceTimed with the mother and daughter to discuss colors for the favors. The daughter said she wanted light blue and light pink. I told her I was worried that it might look like a baby shower. She then rudely answered back, light blue and light pink. In my previous post, a lot of people criticized me for being negative about the color. As I explained before, I really didn't care what color she picked, I just was worried it looked like a baby shower. We had one more negative interaction and I decided to do the favors I promised, but I decided not to do anything extra. I was thinking of going to the restaurant and setting up tablecloths and chair covers. I know this child since the day she came home from the hospital. I was very upset about our interactions. She knew this was free and that it was my gift to her. So the party is this weekend and I brought the favors to work today. I made 24 pink gift bags with blue tissue paper and matching wired ribbon. Each bag has chocolate-covered pretzels, chocolate Oreos and chocolate marshmallows, labeled chapsticks, cute pink sunglasses with the birthday girl's name on the side. My friend thinks her daughter's going to love them, which I'm happy to hear. As I walk away, she asked me if I can do one more favor for her. She wants me to make a favor bags for her boyfriend's daughter's bed party. Bed party is for high school senior girls, their friends bring them swag from the college they were accepted and decorate her bed with the school colors. Honestly, I was floored. I have never met this girl and no, my friend did not offer to pay for the favors. I told her I'm so sorry but unfortunately, I can't. She said she understood but for the last few hours, things have been weird between us. The old me would be making these favors, the new me says no. I have to remember no is a word. I have been pretty good about saying no to people since my last post. The only thing I have agreed to do is 2 raffle baskets for a childhood cancer fundraiser and 2 baskets for my kids' school fundraiser. I know I'm a work in progress but today my friend reminded me that I need to think of me first. Stories number 4. Aita for not giving my late sister's wedding dress to her fiancé's new bride. Edited to fix the ages of people involved because people think I'm lying even though my entire Reddit history is clearly available. I'm a 35-year-old male, and my sister, 29F, Anna, passed away 3 years ago in a car accident, just 2 months before her wedding. She and her fiancé, Matt, 32M, were together for 5 years and genuinely loved each other. After the accident, Matt was devastated. We all were. I remember how happy Anna was when she and her friends picked out her wedding dress. It was custom, expensive, and very her. After she died, my parents gave it to me for safekeeping, saying they couldn't bear to look at it but didn't want it sold or donated. I've kept it in pristine condition in my closet ever since. Fast forward to now. Matt has moved on, understandably, and is engaged to someone new, Julie. Julie was one of my sister's best friends, and was there when Anna picked out her dress. Weird for Matt to get with her, but whatever. But here's the bigger issue, Julie reached out to me directly and asked if she could wear Anna's dress for her wedding, as a way to honor Anna and symbolically bring her into the ceremony. I was floored. I said no immediately. I told her it felt disrespectful, that it was Anna's dress, and that it's not a hand-me-down or some family heirloom. I also told her I thought it was weird as fuck that she would want to wear it. She said she thought it would be a beautiful gesture, and that I was making this about me. My sister died, and you swooped in and are marrying her fiancé, but I'm the asshole. Then Matt called me. He wasn't angry, but he said Julie had good intentions and that this would bring closure to everyone. I asked him if he thought Anna would have been okay with it, and he said yes. I don't agree. Anna was incredibly sentimental and private. She would have been horrified. Mind you, none of my family has been invited to this wedding. Not me, not my parents, not my brother. Matt is marrying Julie, wants her $10,000 dress, and hasn't even invited any of our family. Now, my parents are saying I should have at least discussed it with them before refusing. Julie posted some vague story on Instagram about being shut out by people who claim to care about love, and now mutual friends are messaging me saying I'm being petty and bitter. I feel like the only sane person here. Stories number 5. Aita for blowing up at my parents for something my adult sister did. I, 26F, have a sister Amy, 28F, who has always had a difficult relationship with food. She was bullied as a kid and turned to food for comfort. As an adult, she still struggles with self-control, especially around things she finds appetizing. Our parents have never set boundaries with her around food, and that's carried into adulthood. She currently lives with them, and they do all the grocery shopping and cooking. My husband, 28M, recently had a birthday, and I planned a surprise party. I sent him out of the house for a few hours so I could set up and ask my parents to come help. I specifically asked them not to bring Amy. Setting up involved putting out snacks, drinks, and a homemade cake with frosting. They showed up with Amy anyway, saying it wouldn't be fair to exclude her. I gave her a few small tasks and specifically asked her not to touch any of the food until guests arrived, but I was too busy to keep a constant eye on her. At one point, I went into the kitchen and found Amy with the fridge open, eating the frosting out of the mixing bowl. She had eaten nearly half of it. As soon as she saw me, she burst into tears and said she only meant to try a little but couldn't stop. My parents heard us and came in. My mom said it wasn't that big of a deal since the cake was untouched and I still had enough frosting for a crumb coat, but I had planned to do specific cake decorations, and now there wasn't enough frosting. I didn't have the time or ingredients to make more. My dad suggested going to the store to buy a tub of pre-made frosting, saying it was the same thing. I explained my husband tries to avoid a lot of the ingredients found in store-bought frosting and wouldn't want that. My dad said to just not tell him since he wouldn't even know the difference. That suggestion was super frustrating to me. I told my parents that they couldn't convince me that this was no big deal, and that they had allowed this by not setting boundaries with Amy's binge eating and by bringing her to set up. They told me to back off and be more sensitive to my sister, and that it wasn't her fault. I responded by saying that I was more angry at them, because at least Amy felt bad while they were trying to downplay the situation. They got upset and said it wasn't fair to blame them for Amy's choices, and that she was an adult and they can't control her. They also said that they were trying to help by giving suggestions, and that I was being stubborn by shutting all of them down. They ended up leaving, and now they're giving me the silent treatment, even though Amy has apologized for eating the frosting. Aita for involving them in this. Stories number 6. Our neighbors have been having pool parties at our pool while we are not home for years. A few years ago my husband and I purchased a house with a pool. Now we are acquainted with most of our neighbors but definitely not close friends with any of them. They all seem nice but well just don't have much in common other where we live. Next door to the right is a family of 6, twin daughters attending the local university, high school age son and a young elementary school age daughter maybe first or second grade and the parents. Now normally we open the pool in early May and keep it open until the end of October. But this year our weather was off and we had a very cool and very wet month of May and then June went straight to 100+ temperatures. I am currently on a medication that makes it difficult for me to tolerate being in the sun and heat for an extended time. Plus we have been helping 2 extended family members who are having health issues. So because of this we haven't had our pool opened yet this year. Normally we go to the family lake house for a week during each of the 3 major holidays, but we didn't go for Memorial Day because there was flooding around the lake this year, and because a family member was just discharged from the hospital yesterday and July 4th being a Thursday this year we decided to stay home this week and be available to help this family member. Now several times in June the little girl next door has seen either my husband or myself outside and she has asked when we are opening the pool. We first told her maybe later, but the last time, yesterday, she asked and I said we are probably just not going to open it this year, and she started crying. Now we have never had any of the neighbors over to use our pool so I didn't understand why she was crying over us not opening our pool. Well I spoke with the neighbor on the left later and apparently our neighbors on the right have been having a small family party at our pool every 4th of July when we are gone. They have always cleaned up really well afterwards and because we have scheduled pool maintenance and weekly yard service occasionally things are moved around in our yard and we never thought much about it. The neighbor on the left thought we had given the other neighbors permission to use our pool. We did give them permission to retrieve any balls or toys that ended up in our yard, but never permission to use our pool especially when we are not at home. We have a special latch on the gate and my husband did show the neighbor how to open the gate to retrieve his kids' toys. So now my husband, who loves gadgets, is going to have several more cameras installed around the exterior of our house, covering the gate and pool area. And have the gate latch made where we can grant remote access for the pool service and yard men. Luckily we have a friend who does cameras and home automation systems. I'm annoyed our neighbors have been using our pool without permission, but my husband is happy I am letting him get more gadgets around the house. Now do we confront the neighbors and let them know we know they have been using our pool, or just wait and see if they say anything about our new security cameras? Update. A few things I feel I need to clarify. Yes, our backyard is fully fenced in with 2 gates. One in back is double locked from the inside, the side gate on the side of garage nearest the neighbors in question has a double latch that you have to reach over the top and find not one but two releases to open the gate. There is also an auto close that automatically closes the gate and latches it. I personally can't open the gate from the outside of the fence because I can't reach over that far to reach the two latches. The previous owner put this in and it has worked well for our yard crew and the pool maintenance people. We do have some cameras, a doorbell camera and a camera over our garage area. The garage camera picks up if someone goes towards the gate from the front, but we didn't want to invade our neighbor's privacy by recording their side garage door and gate to their backyard. We even shared the camera angle with them because we didn't want them to be concerned about us recording their children or their coming and going. I guess we were more concerned about their privacy than they were about ours. Anyway, the update, Thursday, July 4th morning, I was loading a few things in my vehicle to take to my cousin who just got out of the hospital. Neighbor husband, who has been gone a lot for work recently, saw me and came over and asked if I was getting a late start going to the lake. I let him know that we were staying home because we are helping my cousin who just got out of the hospital. He asked if we were going to be home all weekend. I said yes, one or both of us be around all weekend. He quickly wished me a happy 4th and went home. I went back in to grab my purse and tell my husband about the conversation with the neighbor before I left. When I got home, our friend, Mike, was there. Mike does security cameras and home automation systems, gadgets, and my husband loves gadgets. Mike and my husband have a plan for multiple cameras and several gadgets. Some of which involve us going ahead and having the pool opened. I agreed to all but one of the new cameras and almost all of the gadgets. I think husband put some in the plan knowing he would have to give up a few of them. Mike also suggested talking to our homeowner's insurance agent because we might be able to get some discounts with the security upgrades. So on Friday the 5th, Tom, our insurance guy, comes over and Mike is back and he has a drone to help him find the best camera positions. Really, I think he just wanted to show off his gadget. So husband, Mike and Tom are outside and all around the house and occasionally inside. I look outside every so often and at different times other neighbors have come outside and down to our end of the street. So neighbors want to know what is going on, so husband tells them we are concerned that someone or several people may have used our pool without our permission while we were not home. It turns out that two different neighbors had witnessed some friends of the neighbor children come over last year and they and the neighbor twins had gone into our backyard. One neighbor even asked the girls and they claimed that we let them come over all the time and use our pool. So at this point husband and Tom discuss this and Tom says we should send a registered letter to the neighbors rescinding our permission from entering our fenced-in backyard. So before Mike and Tom left, the neighbors on the right, pool party neighbors, come home, both husband and wife. My husband asks to talk to them, and with Mike and Tom as witnesses he tells them that for insurance reasons we are rescinding our permission for them or any member of their family or guests, to enter our fenced-in backyard. And we will be sending a registered letter stating this as requested by our insurance. Husband never accused them or their children of using our pool but said we had reason to believe that in the past our pool had been used without our permission. He did say that we had reason to believe that their older children might be friends with someone who has been in our pool. Husband also told them that we are changing the gate to have an automated lock and cameras will be installed around the pool area. He also assured them that we avoid the cameras pointed at their windows or backyard. Husband indicated that we were taking these measures to hopefully lower our homeowners' insurance rates. Husband said that they exchanged a few looks between them but they said they understood and appreciated the heads up. So hopefully this saga is over, but if there are any other updates I will try and post them. Stories number 7. Aita for insisting my ex-wife and I stick to our court-ordered custody order. My ex-wife and I, both 30s, have been divorced for almost 5 years and she's remarried. Ever since her marriage to her current husband, 40s, she has been trying to deviate from our court-ordered custody order for our kids. We split custody 50-50 with 7 days, 7 days being the way this works. She gets Mother's Day and her birthday. I get Father's Day and my birthday. Her husband's birthday and mine are on the same day and she wanted it to be shared but the judge said my birthday took priority for our kids. Same with Father's Day. My ex will ask for our kids for 2 or 3 extra days here and there because they go out of town to visit her husband's family. Or she'll want the kids an extra day to celebrate his birthday or Father's Day. When I tell her to do it on her own time she gets pissed at me. But the one time I was somewhat willing to work something out she didn't want to talk about making up the time. So I don't trust that she would let me have the time back that I give up. And so I 100% say we still to the custody order. My ex has called me all kinds of names for this and she told me trying to come between the kids and their family is wrong. She's extra grumpy about it because she has a child with her new husband now and they were visiting her ILs with the baby for the baby's baptism and the kids couldn't be there since it fell on my custody time. She wants to go visit her in-laws more and wants our kids there. I told her to do it when she has them and I was told it was unfair to make her do that. I told her I plan around our schedule and she is not incapable of doing the same. Her husband also called me **SSY for holding firm on this. He and I do not communicate but we saw each other at an end of school year meeting and he said it to my face. Got himself removed by school staff for that. Stories number 8. 40F grossed out over nearly everything my husband, 40M, does. How do I get over it? I, 40F, and my husband, 40M, have been together since high school. We have built a financially stable and respectful relationship. He is a great father and role model to our young children. He does equal share around the house, laundry, cooking, parenting, etc. Over the past 3 to 5 years, I'm continuously finding him less and less attractive. We've been to counseling together over this. And we've had many peaceful conversations but nothing seems to improve, from my perspective. I'm going to list a few examples, and before Reddit jumps on me saying these things are stupid, please understand we've been together for a long time, and all the little things eventually snowball into big things. He forgets about 70% of our conversations. I'm having to give him reminder receipts on everything we've talked about. He snores while awake, literally. His face and hair smell so bad, to me, anyways. I'm pretty sure it's just his bodily oils. When he wants attention, he gets really immature and starts talking in a baby voice. He leaves boogers and skin flakes in around the sink. I could go on with more examples, but let's not keep you here forever. We have talked about every single one of these things, and more. If there could be a medical issue, he's been to a doctor. Everything is fixable but it's not being fixed. I know I'm not perfect. But these things seem to irritate me to my core. I feel like screaming at the top of my lungs, bashing my head through a wall. That's dramatic but I feel desperate. This cannot be the rest of my life. How do I get over this? Or what can we further do so we can live happily the rest of our lives? Edit, this is really blowing up. And I'm thankful for everyone's comments. Keep commenting. I think a lot of us are finding community, and can resonate with one another. Even in the disagreements, there's quite a bit of valuable information. There's a lot of actionable items I am considering as I plan my next move. More medical checkup specialist appointments, therapy, HRT, big girl conversations, etc. Many balls are up in the air, and I will come back to do an update once I have the ducks in a row. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Why only the last 3 to 5 years is this irritating you? You've been together a lot longer, so did his behavior suddenly change to this or has something changed with you? Reply, we had kids later in life. As 2 young single people, we just always had fun and not a lot bothered is. Throw kids in the mix, and everything got flipped upside down. I was the primary caregiver to our kids, staying home with them for 5 years. It's only been the past 3 to 5 years that I'm back to my life outside the home, and all of this irritates me now. Commenter 2. And before Reddit jumps on me saying these things are stupid, please understand we've been together for a long time, and all the little things eventually snowball into big things. I don't think these things are stupid. I worry that you frame your concerns that way at all. Like him never remembering conversations is tiring. It means you have to waste a lot of time and energy constantly refreshing his memory and I am guessing having to mother him in terms of scheduling and stuff as a result. Snoring while awake. I mean, I just don't see how that isn't a medical thing. You say he offers equal participation in the house but he doesn't clean up after using the sink. And him constantly defaulting to an unhealthy communication style when he wants something despite you likely bringing it up in counseling, shows he is really not taking any steps forwards. These are all absolutely valid problems. I suspect part of you downplaying them now is how you got this far in the first place. None of these are new, they should have been bigger deals from the start but you pushed through, it's just you can't anymore now. Maybe you just have to be a little more blunt and direct about your burnout, especially in therapy. Point out the utter lack of progress and point out you feel like you are being forced to leave as a result. Reply, I appreciate the validation and calling me out for downplaying it. Sometimes I feel so embarrassed trying to explain this to close friends, who have husbands who are not equal partners. And you're right. I do need to be more blunt with him. Downplaying it isn't going to make him realize how irritated I am. Is there any chances that OOP's husband did not switch out of his party lifestyle? Reply, we didn't party in the way that's being implied. The fun we had before was travel, hiking, sports. He does partake in THC oil at night. And we do have social drinks on the weekend. Commenter 3, do you think he's in love with you? Have you talked about it? Reply, we do, he loves me so much. And I love him, too. But my love feels like it's changing. Whereas his love is still on the relative plane of romantic love. That's what makes this really hard for me to work through. If we both fell out at the same time, we'd be amazing co-parents and have the healthiest relationship possible for our kids. But it's definitely one-sided, and if I actually ended my marriage because of this, it would be so devastating. Update. Just a few of my own comments. I do recognize I'm in premenopause. I will be talking to my doctor about this. Even though the rage boils my entire being, I still remember how to be gentle, kind and empathetic. I was never a raging bitch towards him like a few suggested. I'm more forceful with my tone to truly get my message across. As many of you pointed out in the comments, I've let a lot slide in the past, which is how I've gotten here. So premenopause rage is actually emboldening me to be more assertive. My annoyance is amplified, but his behavior is still unacceptable. He doesn't have ADHD, that's actually me, lol. Unless mine is so bad, he looks neurotypical, lol. He has gained weight over the past few years. He's not obese, but he's been an athlete the majority of his life, and so the extra 50 to 70 pounds is probably a lot for him and is causing a lot of the issues. The hygiene issues will have to be discussed another day. Based on what happened tonight, I don't think he could have handled it. I will be making skincare suggestions but will not be purchasing things for him. He's a grown-ass man and can do that himself. I've been proactive to make sure I'm taking care of myself as I age. I don't need to be making his doctor appointments and buying him his skincare. And the baby voice thing, I'll just keep telling him it's deeply unattractive and honestly gross. And I will not be having sex with any man who chooses to talk to me like that. I'm happy to answer any more questions. But as this sub only lets me do one update, I guess this is it. To the update, sorry so long, it was like I was talking to a child. Tonight, we were relaxing in bed, and I began by saying, have you ever considered getting tested for sleep apnea? He says, apprehensively, yes. I have, and waited for me to continue. I said, I've been doing some research and I'm wondering if maybe you have it because of the snoring while being wide awake. He said he would like to try exercise first because he knows that's where a lot of his breathing problems stem from. I continued by saying it's not just the snoring, but if it's lack of oxygen, maybe that would explain the weak memory. He continued to say he knows he has a thick neck, and wants to try working out first. I stayed quiet for a long time after this. Eventually, I said, you've been saying you want to exercise for a long time and it hasn't happened. It's fine that you want to get back into shape, but I'm more concerned about the lack of memory and I can't wait around for you to find time to work out. I feel like I can't have meaningful conversations with you. I can't trust you're going to remember them. He just kept going back to the exercise solution. So I said, I'm grasping at solutions to present to you hoping you'll consider something to improve this. This is a you thing now, and I can't do it for you. I've been giving you suggestions for a while, and now including getting tested for sleep apnea. Choose what you want to do, or not, but I can't live like this anymore. It was quiet for a long time, and it was pretty obvious he wasn't really understanding the full scope of it. So I continued to say that I don't have a partner I can trust to have any type of conversation with, because there's no guarantee that he'll remember. I try to have mindless conversation about plans that we have or about the kids, and when he proves again that he can't remember, it makes me feel even more alone. I told him I can't have a partner where I can't connect with or feel I can share important things with knowing I'll be disappointed and let down later. He tried to deflect by asking how often I thought this was happening. Let me tell you, if I was a violent person, now is about the time I would have ripped his eyeballs out. He seriously was not understanding the severity of this. I said, it happens enough that I try to give you a little, but when you forget I'm reminded all over again that you do this often enough. I'm angry all the time about it, is how often you forget. If you need that indicator, he acknowledged this. I asked him if he noticed the majority of our conversations over the past few years happen over text. I told him this is because I think if it's in writing, at least he can go back and reread and remind himself. This is why I don't want to talk to him in person anymore. He deflected again by saying he thought we texted more because the kids aren't around and it's easier to focus and have conversation. He thought I wasn't talking to him in person because I'd rather be on my phone or reading. I told him I do those things because I don't want to talk to him in person. I finally said he needs to figure this out because I can't live like this. It's lonely and isolating. I can't talk about anything from silly, meaningless things to more serious issues. I need a partner who's stepping up for me, and wants to have an integrated life. When I feel disconnected from him, it seeps into every other aspect of our relationship and there's no connection happening anywhere because of this. I reminded him to choose what solution he wants to explore, but I won't be providing any more suggestions. This is a him thing to fix. And if it doesn't get it figured out, I don't think I can survive the relationship. I left it at that. He rolled over, and didn't say anything. So, I guess, the decision is on him now. I hope my message was clear. I don't know if he'll actually pursue anything, but I know if nothing changes I am done with this marriage. I didn't truly feel how lonely I am until I was trying to express that to him tonight. Relevant comments. Has OOP's husband been tested for any medical conditions? Since he seems to forget or don't want to remember details. Reply, he hasn't been tested for anything. In my original post, I did mention he's been to the doctor. Nothing came of it, but now that I think of it, he probably fed the doc the same line about working out, losing weight. And we know our docs like to blame a lot of body size, so probably went along with it. I stayed up late last night reflecting on a lot and I realized he's fine at work. New development, but also makes this all more pathetic for me. He manages a lot of moving parts, through multiple ongoing projects. He seems capable from what he tells me about work. One of the execs just came back from stress leave, as his memory was failing. And my husband had a lot to say about that, so it's not looking good for us. Someone else suggested maybe he's weaponsing this. OOP responds to comments about leaving her husband. Reply, I'm not leaving him because of his memory loss. After going through all the medicals, if nothing is discovered, and he just sucks at prioritizing us, I'm leaving him because I'm lonely and I don't have a companion. I don't need to stay with someone who doesn't want to connect with me, and only wants to help pay bills and raise kids. I can do all of that on my own, while finding someone who wants to share a meaningful life together. OOP clarifies on the lifestyle abilities her husband has. Reply, he can drive a vehicle. He can work. He can play and care for our kids. He can cook and clean. He can fix things, he can hang out with friends. He can make a doctor's appointment. Stories number 9. Aita for refusing to help my sister pay for her wedding after she didn't invite my wife. So here we go, I, 30M, have been married to my wife, 28F, for 3 years, together for 7. My sister, 33F, is getting married this summer. We've always had a rocky relationship, but I thought we were in a better place recently, but a few weeks ago, she sent out wedding invites. I got one addressed only to me, no mention of my wife. At first, I thought it was a mistake, but when I asked her about it, she said, I just want a small wedding with people I'm close to. I don't really know your wife that well, and I want to feel comfortable at my own wedding. And I was stunned. My wife has attended every family gathering for the past 6 years, helped my sister with errands when she was sick, and even watched her dog when she went out of town. It's not like they're strangers. I told my sister I wouldn't come unless my wife was invited. She got upset and accused me of being dramatic and trying to make her day about me. Then a few days later, she called and asked if I'd still be contributing the $5,000 I promised last year to help with her wedding, and I said a big no. Now the whole family is blowing up my phone, saying I'm punishing her over a guest list and ruining her wedding financially. My parents think I'm being petty, and my aunt said, she's your sister. Weddings aren't about fairness. Even my cousin messaged me saying I'm being weirdly controlling. I don't think I'm being petty. I just don't see why I should pay for a wedding that my wife, my life partner, isn't even allowed to attend. Stories number 10. I, 26F, broke my wrist and my husband, 28M, won't help me out with driving. Where do I go from here? A couple days ago I was doing yard work and I tripped and fell and broke my wrist. It's in a cast and will be for at least 4 weeks. I work full-time in person about 30 minutes away from home. I took the last 2 days off from work, but I need to go back on Monday. I can't drive my car because it is stick shift and the wrist I broke is on the arm I use to shift. I can't grab the shifter to change gears, so I can't drive it. My husband drives an automatic, and while it wouldn't be the greatest thing, I could drive it. I asked him if he would mind switching cars with me until I am able to shift gears again. He said no because he doesn't like driving my car. I taught him how and he's used it before, he just doesn't like it. So I asked if he would drive me to and from work, at least a few times per week. He also said no because he doesn't want to wake up early. He works 3 shifts per week in the evenings. I would be home with his car before he had to leave for work. He would also have time to drive me home from work without being late for work. I am also the breadwinner and we need the money I make from working. He told me I should just Uber, but it would be at least $60 per day and I can't afford that. I feel unsupported. I get the situation sucks, but a couple years ago when his car wasn't working, I let him use my car. He worked more back then, 5 days per week. So I let him use it to go to work and also to go out with friends and stuff. So I feel I am not being reciprocated. He doesn't owe me for that, but also he isn't willing to help me out with this, and the inconvenience for letting me use his car is much less for him because he'd be sleeping when I was using it. Where do I go from here? Am I asking or expecting for too much? Comments. Commenter 1. He kind of does owe you, though, because a marriage is a partnership. He does need to step up here. Reply. I agree, he needs to step up. But he doesn't owe me. I mean, I didn't let him use my car, so one day I could throw in his face, well, I let you use my car. But also I did. And the inconvenience was greater for me than it would be for him. Commenter 2. He owes you because you are his wife and you need help that he can give. Commenter 3. He needs to step up or GTFO. Tell him he's being immature and lame, and if he doesn't let you use his car you'll just take time off from work and he can pay all the bills. Considering you do all the yard work, it shouldn't be a big ask. Reply, we can't make it on just his income alone. And I won't be able to pay my part in full if I have to spend $60 per day for Uber. I don't know what he expects to happen. I also don't do all the yard work, I was just doing some and fell. I was picking up sticks and leaves from the winter so he could mow the lawn. Commenter 4. Well, that's the thing he needs to understand, if he doesn't help you get to work, you don't work, and then, your part, becomes his part. It would all be his part, to pay. Is that what he wants? Commenter 5. Why is he being such a dick about switching cars? It's completely logical to switch cars. Update. I got a lot of advice on my last post. Some helpful, some not. A lot of people slammed him for not working more. I want to clear that up. He was working the same amount of hours as I was. Sometimes more. But his hours got cut at work. He's been looking for a new job or second one, but hasn't had much luck. I know he has been looking and putting in effort. That's not an issue, but I sat down with him and said that we really need to talk about this, because I had to go to work today, Monday. I sat down and told him I get he is having a hard time with his hours being cut and trying navigate the job market. But I have a good job and I need to get there. And I can't afford to Uber a car while I heal. We need to find a solution. He kept talking in circles with the same reasons I mentioned in the last post. I don't know exactly what I said, but it was something along the lines of, that is not good enough for me. I don't accept those reasons and I don't think they're true. What is the actual reason? We are married and partners, why am I left hanging like this? He finally told me the truth. Since his hours got cut, he hasn't been maintaining his car. He had savings and maintained his car when he worked more, but when his hours got cut, he started using his savings to pay his part of the bills. And when it ran low, he finally let me readjust our spending. I pushed for it from the start, but he refused. But when his savings ran low, his car started having problems and he couldn't afford to fix it. He needs new tires. He needs new brakes. The AC stopped working. And he also is well overdue for an oil change. He used to keep up with this stuff, but hasn't because he is low on money. He was ashamed and didn't want me to use his car or ride in it because he didn't want me to know how bad it was. He was embarrassed so he never brought it up. So he has been driving an unsafe car and didn't want me to drive it. After a very long talk, we came to a solution. I will buy him used tires. They need to be done, but can wait a week as we look and get this set up. Yesterday we replaced the brake pads and do an oil change. I couldn't physically help, but I read him steps and look at things when he wasn't sure. His dad also helped over FaceTime. Between our brains, we figured it out. We decided not to mess with the AC because that's a comfort thing and not necessary, especially during this time of year. So in all, he was having a private struggle I wasn't aware of. I usually don't go in his car, so I never noticed. And this morning, he drove me to and from work. And either he will drive me or I will drive myself, with his permission. Depends on the day. I knew he was struggling with the lack of income and I have been pushing and pushing for him to let me do more. But he held out due to pride. And his car suffered. And honestly, I think I might do the same thing. I still feel a bit betrayed and the trust has eroded a bit. But at the same time, I also feel like I got closer to him. It's a weird feeling I can't fully explain. But in the end, I can get to work with his help. Comments. Commenter 1. Pride and lying can kill a relationship as quickly as cruelty. Unless your husband sees that sharing burdens are the only way to success as a married couple, he will sabotage your future. Commenter 2. Wait, so he was nasty to his sick wife because he cared more about his pride? She had to literally beg him to communicate what was going on. And this is supposed to be a win for the relationship. Commenter 3. Exactly. And he would have encouraged her to waste $1,200 in Uber rides rather than use that money to fix the damn car, while he is fully aware they are struggling financially, all to cradle his ego. Stories number 11. Husband is appearing in gym girl TikTok videos. Alright, I hope I'm not about to come across as crazy. The situation is this: my F27 husband, M28, and I go to a local gym a few times a week. He mainly lifts weights, and is definitely one of the stronger guys there. There are several fitfluencers, both male and female, that frequent our gym, and over the past few months, the girls have started to be really friendly with him. I don't mind that really, it's fine to ask for a spot or form check, but what I didn't realize, and he didn't either, at first, is that he was ending up in their Instagram and TikTok videos. I found out because a friend follows one of these girls sent me a reel asking if I knew my husband was in these videos. When I asked him if he knew, he said he assumed that he was, but didn't realize they had so many followers. The thing that really weirded me out is how the comments section had a lot of comments about how this girl needs to get with her gym crush. She had even pinned some, and had not mentioned anywhere that he is married. I'm not upset at him, but I just feel like her behavior is really odd. I don't want to be controlling, but I also don't really feel comfortable with her being around him, especially if I'm not present. I guess I'm just asking for advice on how to bring this up with hubby without coming across as controlling. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, appearing in them how? Is he participating or just like, in the background? Has he seen the TikTok commentary about their getting together? Reply, it's always videos where they are lifting near their max and need him to spot. So he's participating but not the focal point of the video. Is OOP concerned because her husband was spotting someone in the gym in videos? Reply, I guess I'm concerned that she in particular has intentions beyond that. For the women that aren't including him in videos, I have no apprehensions about that. Commenter 2, I mean, the first step is probably bringing it up, and explaining the comments pinned about getting with her gym crush. Any reasonably well-adjusted adult shouldn't take this as controlling. Nothing wrong inherently with bringing it up so he is aware. It's possible he doesn't even notice because he doesn't care, or it's possible he enjoys the attention in the comments. Men don't tend to be desired publicly that often, so it could be an ego boost thing too. Reply, yeah, I guess he doesn't know about the comments. I've just dealt with some extreme insecurity in our marriage in the past and don't want to put him through that again. I was actually genuinely overbearing partner in the past and he loved me through it, so I'm trying to trust him here. Does the person knows that OOP and her husband are married? Reply, oh, I'm sure she knows we are together. We show up at the same time and leave at the same time and peck each other on the cheek between sets occasionally. I think I see the ring in one video, but kind of hard to see in most given the distance and angle. OOP should let her husband know to talk with the gym management to shut down the filming if he didn't know he was going to be in the videos. Reply, I mean, he knew that they were filming it, and assumed some got posted online, but he didn't know that a couple of these girls have hundreds of thousands of followers. He isn't on social media, so it just flew over his head that it might be a possibility. When I told him how many followers they had, he said, damn, she isn't really that strong, lol. I love him for that. Update. Okay people, I appreciate you all so much for commenting on my post yesterday, and validating that I'm not being crazy. Last night, I brought up the situation with the influencers again, and told my husband that comments were being left on the videos that made me uncomfortable, and showed him. Upon seeing the pinned comments, and me explaining who pins a comment and how lol, I think his words were, damn, that's sketchy. I sort of balked at telling him to do anything, but he told me he would tell the girls that they can't film him anymore, and to get rid of the pinned comments. We went to the gym this evening, and I saw him go talk to her, and now a couple hours later, those comments are gone, smiley face. He said the girl was super embarrassed, and apologized a bunch. I'm so glad I talked to him because now I feel loads better. Top comments. Commenter 1, this sounds like a great result, he's a keeper, even if his TikTok game is terrible. Commenter 2, finally a good husband after seeing so many bad ones in these posts. Don't get me wrong, I know there are amazing husbands all over the world, we just seldom get to hear about them. Happy for you, smiley face. Commenter 3, good for you. It was handled very adult-like by you without yelling and screaming. Your husband didn't hesitate to do the right thing and calmly talk to the girl privately without causing a scene at the gym. Good result for both. Stories number 12. Aita for wanting to leave my wife after she gave birth to my child. My 34M wife, 32F, and I have been married for 7 years. After a miscarriage, she admitted to me that she had multiple affairs over the last 4 years of our marriage. Her last affair ended a year ago. She begged for us to go to therapy to work on our marriage, but I refused to go. During this time I had moved out of the house. Occasionally I would go back to take care of the house and animals, and she would constantly try to manipulate me into coming back. I had every intention of getting a divorce, but the process is slow. I hated the betrayal I felt, but I also missed my wife during the separation. One thing led to another and we had sex and she got pregnant again. Shortly after the news came I had to leave for work about 12 hours away from her. She would call to give me updates about the pregnancy and talk about our marriage. We were separate for majority of her pregnancy. I told her that I still wanted a divorce, but I would consider reconciling after the baby was born. After several months away from her I came to the realization that I could not trust her, nor could I forgive her for her infidelity. I feel like the last 7 years of my life has been a lie. While I was away from her I met someone and a relationship blossomed between us. I truly feel like I love this woman. She has been made aware that I am still married and that I have a baby on the way. My wife is not aware of my new girlfriend. Fast forward to a month ago, I had to go home for the birth of our baby boy. My wife has been pressuring me to reconcile, but I told her that I plan to divorce her again. After the birth of our baby boy she has been blaming me for ruining our family because I don't want to stay with her and try to fix our marriage. I want to have a co-parenting relationship with my wife but she is acting very erratic while I am here for our son. Aita for wanting to leave my wife. Any advice on how to deal with this is appreciated. Edit. Thank you all for the mixed reviews. It was expected. I will be talking with a lawyer and will update once I have a chance to talk to one. Appreciate the sound advice as well. Comments. Commenter 1. Info. Are you sure the baby is yours? Reply. Baby is mine. Commenter 2. Get a paternity test to ensure. See a lawyer. Take your time with someone who is involved with a married man expecting a baby and is okay with it. Commenter 3. Your wife sucks for cheating on you repeatedly over 4 years. That's a serious betrayal, and it's understandable that you'd feel like the entire marriage was a lie. But you're not innocent in this either. You were emotionally and physically indecisive for months, which gave her mixed signals. You told her you wanted a divorce but kept showing up, had unprotected sex, resulting in a baby, and continued entertaining her hopes of reconciliation even while emotionally checking out. You even said you'd consider reconciling after the baby was born. That's a huge breadcrumb to someone already trying to save a relationship. Then, instead of clarifying things, you started a new relationship while still married, didn't tell your wife about it, and are still hiding it from her now that the baby is born. That's not just messy, it's dishonest. You're fully within your rights to leave the marriage. Infidelity is a deal breaker for many. But your execution has been cowardly and passive. You didn't set clear boundaries, didn't communicate with honesty, and avoided taking firm action when it mattered most, and now you're reaping the chaos that comes from that. My advice: divorce her now. No more delays, no more maybes. Tell her about your new relationship, not to rub it in, but because she deserves clarity. She's parenting with you and should understand the new dynamic. Lawyer up and establish formal custody and support agreements. Don't leave this up to emotional negotiations. Stop playing emotional games with her and yourself. You're not the victim anymore, you're a participant in this mess. Get therapy, not for reconciliation, but for you, to process the betrayal, learn better communication boundaries, and avoid repeating this kind of mess in the future. You're not the asshole for wanting to leave, but you're the asshole for how you handled it. Update. Thank you all to those who did not think I was the a-hole here. It's been a tough 2 years. Here's how it went down. I took a paternity test, and my son is confirmed to be mine. I have filed for divorce, but the state in which I lived is very conservative and has a waiting period before it can be finalized. The divorce was filed as uncontested and I will be paying child support while also staying in his life. I am selling our house and she is moving to a state close by where my son will only be a couple of hours away. This option also makes her closer to family. Custody arrangements will be updated once she has moved. This has been hard emotionally because she has blamed me for ruining our chance as a family and our son's future. It feels manipulative since I no longer want to be with her and I've taken care of her our entire marriage. My wife still does not know about my girlfriend at the request of my girlfriend. As much as I want to integrate my girlfriend, this will take time to do, and I also felt like my wife doesn't have to know about her until everything has settled and the divorce finalized. It's been difficult for me being away from my son, but I do get to see him every day. I was there for his birth and 3 weeks afterwards. I will be taking leave again to spend more time with my son, take care of the house, the divorce, and to help get her and my son moved. I am glad this marriage is ending, and while it's tough right now with my son, the mutual goal is to have a co-parenting relationship. Despite the things my wife has said and her wanting to continue the marriage, I feel my son will be better off knowing what an actual loving relationship is. My girlfriend has been very supportive of me and I'm ready to move on in my life with her. Trying to get any help or legal advice in the state we got married has been a nightmare and has been overall negative to the choice I have already made. The marriage is dead, but I will be in my son's life. I do not agree with the empty values there. Any advice on how to ensure a healthy co-parenting relationship without a lawyer is needed. Thank you all again. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. But you really should not have slept with your wife that last time without protection. This made everything much more complicated by giving her leverage. Commenter 2. Why would you have a child knowing she was an AH and that you weren't sure you were fitting back together? Poor child. Commenter 3. And now he wants to integrate his new girlfriend. Which I can only guess means bring her in as a third parent. These people had no business making a child. Stories number 13. Aita for refusing to split the inheritance with my cousins even though everyone thinks I should. So a little background, my grandfather passed away 6 months ago. He was the only grandparent I was close to, and I spent a lot of time with him growing up, like, actual time. I mowed his lawn every week, helped with groceries, stayed with him after his knee surgery. I wasn't doing it for anything in return, I just liked being around him. My cousins, 2 of them, both early 30s, were never really around. They came to family events, sure, but they never visited unless it was a holiday. Not judging, I know we all have different lives, but they weren't close with him. They joke about how boring he was and how he told the same WW2 stories over and over. Well, turns out he noticed that. When the will was read, everyone was shocked. My grandfather left me most of his savings, like not millions, but enough to matter, high 5 figures. He left smaller symbolic things to everyone else, some old watches, photos, bunches of other stuff, but the money? Almost all to me. In the letter that came with the will, he pretty much said, she was the only one who showed up. My cousins didn't say anything at first, but a few weeks later, they started sending me these guilt-trippy texts. Stuff like, Grandpa wouldn't have wanted the family divided, and I'm sure he thought we'd all share. One of them even brought up how I didn't need the money because I have a job and no kids. I didn't respond at first, but then they cornered me at a family dinner and straight up asked if I was planning to split it. I said no, and now everyone's mad. My aunt says I'm being cold and that this is why families fall apart. Even my own mom said maybe I should throw them something small just to keep the peace. But like, this isn't lottery money. It's a gift from him, and I respected him enough to accept it the way he intended. Why should I feel bad for being there when they weren't? Still, I feel like the bad guy now. Aita. Update 1, early update. I know, but we just scheduled dinner in a couple of hours with the whole family. This is news to me, I just found out about it. I'll keep you all posted on what happens afterward. Stories number 14. Aita for telling my 6-year-old nephew he is not special, after he told me he can do and get what he wants because everyone calls him special. For context, he is the first and only grandchild so far, and probably will be the only grandchild unless my sister has more kids. Yes, he is an only child and everyone spoils him rotten. I don't have much engagement with them since I live in a different state. I recently went to visit my family. One weekend was supposed to go with my sister and my nephew to indoor playground arcade, but something came up on her end, so I offered to take my nephew since we did plan to make a day of it. She agreed, and overall it was a lot of fun. He was fine the entire day, did not fuss or anything. My mom asked if I could pick up her order from Target. It was in the area, so I said sure. Order was not ready, so we killed time walking around. Apparently this was my grave mistake. I was unaware my sister gets him whatever he wants when he wants it. She does very well for herself. He showed me a Nerf gun he wanted. I commented and said that was cool. He did not ask for it anything, and he still had it in his hand. I did not think much of it in the moment since I did the same as a kid, and when it was time I would leave at the counter. Mom's order was done, went to pick it up, and he fully expected me to buy it. I told him I was not going to buy it and maybe he could ask his mom for it next time. I offered to take a picture of it so he could show her exactly what he wanted. That is when he told me his mom would not mind. She always gets him what he wants because he is special and special people get whatever they want. In this context I kind get in hindsight from a kid's POV, no one really tells him no. I told him I was not everyone else, and I had no intention of buying anything at the store. He doubled down, started to fuss, telling me I had to listen to him because he was the kid and he is special. That is when I told him, he is no more special or unique to anyone else. He was still giving me a hard time. During that time my mom called. I picked up. She shouted I would not buy him what he wants. My mom told me to stop being so cheap and buy it. I was started to get embarrassed and very uncomfortable. I had no idea how to handle the situation, so I bought it because we were making a scene, and I don't have much experience with kids. When we got home I explained the situation. My mom and sister were not pleased. My sister told me she does not believe in telling a child no. They also were mad I did not reaffirm that he is not special because he should be the most special person to me. He is a gift and such. My sister struggled to have kids. Edit. Sorry for the long post and typos on mobile and autocorrect can be weird. I know in the end I caved though, which just reinforces the behavior anyways. Stories number 15. My nephew stole my Pokemon cards. Recently I've finished my collection of every Prime Pokemon card and have been working on my illustration rate collection from SV-based Surging Sparks. Both collections have sat in binders in the corner of my room untouched for a month or so. 2 nights ago I decided to admire my Prime collection that I worked hard going through eBay auctions and going to multiple card shops trying to collect every card. Upon opening the binder I noticed the centerpiece, Meganium Prime, was missing. I panicked wondering if it fell or if it slid behind one of my other cards, but it was gone. Decided to look through my other binders I had stacked, and of course my Cerulege IR, Tapu Bulu IR and EV IR promo were missing as well. Checked my wife's binder to see if she had cards missing, and of course some of her Reikus that she's been collecting have been taken, specifically her amazing rare Reiku that started her collection. We were heartbroken, but then it dawned on us that my 11-year-old nephew has been secretly coming downstairs in our living space when we leave to go to work. We caught him once cause he thought we weren't home, but my wife was there. After telling his mother the situation, what exactly was missing and how much the cards were worth, she told me he had admitted to them being taken and that he had a handful of cards at school in his desk that belonged to me. I wish the story ended with him returning from school with all the cards he had stolen from us, but unfortunately my sister returned home with a stack of cards found in their desk and not a single one of them belonged to me, just a bunch of common and uncommon cards worth about $2. It hurts to know that these cards I spent my money, pulled with friends and had watched on auctions for days, be traded away, gone forever. I know I can always get them back, but I'm so hurt that it even happened in the first place, and just wanted to share what is happening and how I'm feeling with others that have probably been in similar situations. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. You're talking to the parents, right? I'd sue them if they don't cough up the money. Reply. Suing them is out of the question. Their mother is my sister. When I found out, I immediately texted her. She showed me the stack that they had in their desk this morning, but once I saw none of them were mine, I told, and she said she will talk to them more when they are home from school. I made a card on TCG Player for the exact 5 cards that went missing, to a total of $70 with similar conditions. I do want the cards replaced rather than cash. He's just a kid. If these pieces of shiny cardboard has made me feel joy for the past 20 years, I can only imagine how 11-year-old would feel seeing his uncle's cool collection. It hurts he would steal from me, but it would hurt more ruining an entire family to sue them over $70 of Pokemon cards. They have enough worries. Commenter 2. If he thought they were that cool, he wouldn't have traded them though. He probably saw them as a way to trade to get more cards. Reply. I mean, that's very true. If I had a card worth something and there was a handful of cards I wanted equal to or lesser than that one card, I would trade it for the cards I want. Unfortunately, the stack they have brought home was a stack of commons and uncommons, and I know in the past they have been tricked into getting fake cards at school, so it hurts more knowing they were scammed out the value. Commenter 3. Absolutely should be a teaching moment, but I would absolutely not allow that kid near the collection for at least a couple years. He has lost the privilege of trust around valuables. Reply. Oh, trust and believe I feel this deeply. Actions have consequences. I have taken him to league nights and pre-release before. Even taught him how to play the actual TCG. After this, that comes to a full stop. My privacy and my trust were compromised. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes from here. Commenter 4. I would definitely distance and hide away my cards moving forward if I were you. Keep interactions with him and teach him multiple lessons at once. Stealing is wrong, forgiveness is still possible, but his actions won't be forgotten, and earning back trust. One thing I do find odd is your sister not mentioning his admittance to stealing the cards. How long did she know? And why didn't she immediately inform you? I would be hurt by my siblings if they did something like this, not that I wouldn't forgive them or anything, but it's odd she wouldn't confess to you. Reply. I texted her late in the night when I found out it was like 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and didn't talk to the kids till later in the evening that day. She got a confession from them after I had texted her about it. OOP added in the comments. Here, op here. Thank you all for the advice and kind words. Originally, when I had made this post, I was looking to see if anyone else has been in similar situations, as I have been getting to know their stories and how they went about it. I just got off of work and I'm waiting for my sister and nephew to arrive home to be able to talk to the both of them about what to do going forward. I do plan on saying I want the cards replaced rather than being given the value of the cards, that way they and I know I'm receiving the same things back that was stolen from me instead of using the money for other things. 2. That I do expect a handwritten apology from my nephew, also tagging on a lesson of why stealing is wrong and what could happen if he had not stolen from me but someone or somewhere else. 3. I do want to know more, why he chose to steal, what happened to the cards, and how he thinks he will help out his mom to help pay for the replacements. I do want to address some of the more outrageous comments made regarding myself and my nephew. Although I am hurt my nephew would do this to me and my trust with him is very low, it does not mean it cannot be mended. I do not value my cards more than my nephew's well-being. All the people saying he should be beat or have his belongings burned in fires should really consider talking to someone about trauma. I'm sure we all did something wrong as kids at that age, tried to be sneaky and get away with something we shouldn't have and been caught before. To those out there that haven't, I envy you. Also live a little, lol. I am not his parents, but I am an adult figure in his life who I want him to look up to and learn from this experience. Again, thank you all who reached out. Update. Hello. I had to make a separate post because for some reason it won't let me edit the old one for some reason. I want to say thank you to all of you that had genuinely good advice. I read through a lot of the comments and a lot of people's stories who were similar to mine, and I want to say my condolences and appreciation for each of you. I also do want to address those of you with ridiculous and outright demented suggestions, and I really encourage some sort of therapy or help for you all. Before I get into the outcome, I do want to give a bit of background to my situation, since some of my previous comments were buried and I should have elaborated more in my initial post. In 2022 I had lost my grandma, and it really brought the worst out my family. My sister, who is the mother of my nephew and her 5 other children, and her husband inherited the house we currently stay in. In late 2023 I moved into the house to help my sister around the house, whether that be cleaning, yard work, watching the children, etc. Shortly after, my wife also moved in with me. Upon me and my wife finally living together under the same roof, me and my sister set up some ground rules, one of which was children were not allowed into the basement space we occupied without permission or supervision of either me, my wife, or my sister. My sister works a full-time job where luckily she is still able to be with the kids most of the time before and after school, but of course some days slip through the cracks depending on if it's busy, if a child is sick, or if she isn't feeling well. My sister also has a lot more on her plate that I won't really get into, but a lot of stress and a lot of emotions. As for her husband, he's usually working around the clock. Leaves early, gets home late, eats and goes to bed. Only really see him around on the weekends with them or working on his cars. Hopefully that is enough of an idea of the situation at home without getting into too much personal and private information. Originally, when I had made the OG post, it was to seek out others that had been through similar situations and how they were handled. To all the individuals who have had something stolen and had no form of justice, I wish upon you the best pull rates and luck no one has ever seen. Hearing from a lot of parents who have also had something happen with their child or what they would have done in this situation, I appreciate your input and took a lot of it into consideration when sitting down and talking to him tonight. And lastly, before I get into the confrontation, I did want to say some things I left out of my original post but did say in the comments. There are a total of 5 cards that I know of that have gone missing. Doing a quick TCG player check, the card's total value was $70. I'm not suing, calling the cops, or taking my family to court. My nephew's well-being is more valuable to me than shiny cardboard. Now that's out of the way, here's what went down. I texted my sister on my way home from work to sit down with her and my nephew. I get home and see not only my one nephew but my other nephew sitting down at the kitchen counter with their heads down. I didn't know this before my initial post, but according to their mom they were accomplices in this heist. I started by saying that I was really disappointed with the actions that they chose and that my trust with them has been shattered but not destroyed. I told them that the cards their mom had brought home were not mine and was asking what happened to the ones that were stolen. At first the response was, "I don't know," or "I can't remember," but that's where mom stepped in and they eventually said that the cards were somewhere upstairs in their room. I asked that if they had 5 minutes to go upstairs and collect them that they will bring them down with them, and they responded yes. My 2 nephews and I went up to their room as I watched them rummage through boxes, pull things out from under their beds, shuffle through drawers, the whole 9 yards. During this I was telling them how I have to work to get the things I want, whether it be a need like food, gas, rent, or something I want such as Pokemon cards, a new game, something that just brings me joy to have, and how much it would hurt if they worked hard for something they wanted and worked hard for just to be stolen from them. I also asked how many cards they had taken and they said at least 10, 5 more than we knew about. After about 10 minutes of this I went back downstairs and talked with my sister and had both came to agreement that they aren't upstairs, and what most likely happened is that they took them to school and traded them. I went back up, asked if they found anything, and brought them back downstairs empty-handed. This is where mom turned on the pressure. "You lied saying the stack you gave me at school were your uncle's. You go upstairs saying they are in your room, but I don't believe you would just forget where they are in your room if you know you're not supposed to have them anyways, so where are they?" I looked at both my nephews and said, "It's only going to make your mom more upset if you're lying. The best thing you can do in this scenario is be honest, because you're already in trouble, your mom's already gonna punish you somehow, but telling the truth only makes things less worse for yourself. Summer vacation is on Friday and I know not having your games or your phone or having any sort of fun the entire summer is gonna be brutal." Then the truth came out. As expected, they had taken them to school and traded them or sold them to classmates. My sister got a few names from them for when they go to school tomorrow to try and get what missing back. Their mom asked them to apologize to me and my wife, but I asked if they could write the apology along with why stealing is wrong and why they won't do it again, and read them to me. I heard their apologies and explained how their parents are going to have to replace the cards they had taken and go through the trouble of trying to get back what they did take from their classmates. Explaining further that they are going to have to work to be able to make that up for their parents but also take responsibility for their actions. I accepted their apology and let them head up to bed. I love my nieces and nephews and always will. They did a bad thing, but like who didn't when they were younger? Yes, this all happened cause my precious pieces of cardboard were stolen, but that doesn't matter as much as teaching my nephews morals and that their actions have consequences and a life lesson. I'm sure in a few years they will look back on this and hopefully make a better choice than the one they chose. My sister has agreed to pay for the cards after we see what happens at the school tomorrow. I appreciate you all that took the time to reach out and read through my TED Talk. TLDR, nephew sold traded cards he stole from me and my sister is replacing them for me. Kids are doing chores this summer and are on punishment to pay their parent back. Stories number 16. I, 37F, gave my husband, 39M, an ultimatum about his hobby. How do we move forward? Spouse and I have been married 15 years and we have 3 kids under 10. We've both always been into fitness, but my husband is always looking for ways to do more. Last year he trained for, and completed, his first triathlon. We were all pretty proud of him and glad he had the experience, but the training really kind of sucked for us at home. He spent over 3 months working out nearly every day. It was incredibly time-consuming. He'd spend hours a day. For example, some days he'd work his job and then come home and do a 3-hour bike ride or run. There were many days when he flat out didn't see our kids at all and I really felt like a single mom. About a month after his triathlon he started talking about how he wanted to do another right away. I immediately asked him what his plans were for triathlons and he said that he'd like to do them continuously throughout the year. I told him that if that was the case, that I really didn't think I could do that and that it might be best if we part ways. He was incredibly upset and indignant, told me I was unsupportive and trying to sabotage him. He said it was unfair to make that demand, that if I was dating someone I would never ask them to quit their hobby. And he's right, I wouldn't, but I would still absolutely peace out because their hobby is incompatible with the life I'm looking for. I didn't really feel like I was even making a demand. I was just stating a fact that it was really hard to support the family alone while he trained and that I couldn't see myself doing it forever if he wanted to become a triathlete. Even though it was unsupportive on paper, I feel like the most supportive thing I can do in this situation is to step away and let him do what he wants and chase his dreams. He eventually agreed to drop the triathlons because we're the most important thing to him, but it's been months and he still finds ways to make snide comments about it or will bring it up out of the blue if we argue. I can't tell if he's just feeling resentful or if he's trying to get me to feel bad and change my mind about it. At any rate, I still feel the same way and there's no chance I'm going to change my mind. How do we move forward from this? Stories number 17. Aita for reporting my sister's boyfriend to his job after he pranked me with fake eviction papers. Okay, so I feel this blew up way more than I expected and now my sister is pissed at me. I, 26F, live in an apartment complex my dad owns. I pay reduced rent, but it's still a legal lease, I have a contract, etc. I work full-time and handle my own bills, so it's not like I'm just mooching. My dad just wanted to help me save while I get through grad school. For context, I'm in my second year of a master's program in social work. I work part-time at a crisis shelter, and honestly, things have been stressful. A lot of what I do is literally helping people avoid eviction, so that might help explain why this hit me so hard. My sister Emma, 28F, has been dating Nick, 30M, fake names used for obvious reasons, for about a year. He's one of those guys who thinks he's the funniest person in the room but mostly just makes people uncomfortable. Weird jokes that just aren't tasteful, pranks, and he thinks of himself as an alpha male type. Trust me, I wish I was kidding. He has done stupid pranks in the past too. One time he swapped out his coworker's decaf coffee for regular as a joke, and the guy had a full-on panic episode at work. Apparently he had a heart condition. The man reported him to HR, and Nick just laughed it off and said everyone was just too sensitive and that it was a harmless prank. Not too sure why HR didn't do more, seeing that his coworker had a literal health condition that could have been worsened by his harmless prank. Nick came over a few weeks ago while my sister was helping me move some furniture. I left them alone in the living room for maybe 10 minutes while I ran to get coffee for all of us. When I had came back with our drinks, Emma and Nick went quiet. I was a little concerned, but my sister said it was nothing. Emma and I were moving this crazy heavy dresser my grandma had gifted me, and Nick had made a comment like, "If you just got off your lazy ass you wouldn't have to take people's leftovers." I looked at my sister shocked, like WTF. She just told him to knock it off. He just shrugged and went off into the living room. A couple days later, I went to check my mail and see envelope in my mailbox. It's an official notice of eviction that looked pretty convincing. My heart stopped. I thought maybe I missed some clause in the lease or something happened to my dad. I started to freak out and was crying. I called my dad in a panic. He was just as confused and asked me to send pictures. He said he didn't know anything about it and hadn't authorized anything like that. For a while, I honestly thought about all sorts of possibilities. Maybe some stalker or random jerk found out where I lived and was trying to scare me, or maybe there was some kind of error. But something I did notice when I inspected to the letter Aegean, I had seen it was sent out with the same company Nick works for. A day or two later, I brought it up while getting drinks with my sister and Nick along with a few mutual friends of ours. The second I mentioned the envelope, and my worry that someone could be messing with me, I noticed Nick starting to act a bit weird. He stopped making eye contact and engaging in conversation, and started fidgeting with his phone. My sister had also gone quiet. I kept thinking about that moment in my apartment and how odd it was, plus the company that had served me matching up with Nick's job. And how surprisingly unfazed Emma was when I told her ABT the eviction notice. Eventually, I had pulled her aside from the rest of the group and had asked if Nick had anything to do with it. After some hesitation, she admitted it was him. According to my sister, she didn't agree with it and Nick thought the prank would be funny. Like a take this as a lesson not to rely on daddy's help forever. He apparently thought he was being funny and giving me some motivation. I was shocked nonetheless. I was mad at my sister for even letting it go on and Nick for being so insensitive. Who in their right mind would find this funny? Which it is crazy, because again I pay rent, I work, and my dad offered the apartment me because I help manage the property when he's out of town. Here's the part that really angered me: Nick had known I've been struggling. He's heard me talk to my sister about burnout, about feeling overwhelmed with work and school. He's literally sat across from me at dinner while I vented about clients at the shelter being scared of eviction. This is where I might be a bit of an asshole. Nick works in property management. Like it's literally his job to handle leases, evictions, inspections, etc. So this wasn't just some random prank. He had used actual template formatting from his company to make it look real. I was livid. My dad was, too. After thinking about it for some time, I reported him to his company's ethics hotline. I sent them photos and explained what happened. Well, they took it seriously. He was fired for inappropriate use of power, and other pranks he had done. Now my sister and Nick are blaming it on me. My sister is saying I ruined his career over a joke. My mom is begging me to apologize because he was just trying to be funny, and Nick has anxiety now. I get that maybe I should have just yelled at him or confronted him directly. But honestly, I was worried if I hadn't reported him now, what other pranks could he have done using his job as a dumb joke? He had given me a server panic attack with his prank, made me question my housing stability, and forged documents that looked extremely real. Just to prove a point. All while knowing I was already struggling. Now my mom and sister are saying I took it too far and made it a work thing. My brother did take my side in this, saying, if you hadn't have done it I would have. And agrees that he is the one who took it too far. I just want this whole thing to be over with, and dealing with this crap from my family plus my school work life has really taken a toll on me. I just want to know if I'm crazy or not in thinking that reporting him wasn't a mistake. Thank you for listening to my hopefully not too long ramble. I just need some advice here. Stories number 18. I didn't attend my son's wedding, I instead spent the evening with his ex-wife. Quick backstory: after graduating high school my son moved 3 states away for college. At 19 he married a girl he met. I tried convincing him to wait because I personally felt he was too immature. They both dropped out and moved back here to his hometown. At 20 they had their first child, a beautiful little girl. 16 months later, my Dell gave birth to their second child, a little boy. After the first baby, my wife and I noticed our Dale wasn't happy. We both thought it was PPD related. Just after the second arrived, my son and his wife separated. She would bring the kids over for a visit. It was then she began unloading on us. I know there's 2 sides to every story, but considering I know my son, I believed her. I sat my son down numerous times to speak with him regarding his marriage. He refused to take responsibility, blamed her for everything even when I directly pointed out where he was the sole problem. They got into counseling. For a year things were okay, on the surface. Our Dale filed for divorce. My son 3 days later was on Facebook announcing his new girlfriend. A month later, they were engaged. My son had forced his then wife to become a permanent som at the birth of their first child. She of course had no other family or friends here, she knew no one aside from us. She had nowhere to go with 2 small children. Unbeknownst to our son, my wife and I helped her financially and got her an apartment. Before the divorce was even finalized, we received a wedding invitation. I made it clear to my son, I would not be attending, and they would not have my blessing. His mother told him she would see to it that I would attend. I stayed consistent in my decision. I also asked him not to bring his fiancée around our house out of respect for the mother of his children. The wedding happened on February 11th. The night before, my wife gave me the final push. I did not attend. Our daughter also did not attend for the same reasons. My wife picked up our grandkids, got them dressed and attended the wedding. My daughter and I decided to spend the evening with his ex. I couldn't imagine her sitting alone, while her kids attended their father's wedding. She was taken aback that I didn't end up attending his wedding. We took her out to distract her mind. I just wanted her to know, she'll always be considered family to us. My daughter also made a joke they can drop the in-law status and just be sisters now. She was very tearfully grateful. I realized just how badly she needed our support and specifically on that night. The next morning, my son called to tell me how much of a horrible father I am for not attending his wedding. Few days later he caught wind that I spent the wedding evening with his ex. He said that was the ultimate form of betrayal, and further myself and his sister would have to earn a relationship with him on his terms only. Update was added as an edit to the original post so there is no timestamp for it. ETA, first, I'd like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for your support, encouragement, and all the awards. I know without a doubt, I did the right thing. I even feel differently now, his mother should not have attended either. But we can't go back and undo that. So, my son saw the post. I had sent my daughter the link yesterday so she could read the comments. This morning, she texts me at work, "Dad, you went viral." LOL. But anyways, he sent screenshots of the post and all my comments to his mom. He also told her, he's dead to me now. Time will tell if he means that. I'm sure he'll see this update too. For that reason, I'm positively certain the second he needs another cash loan I won't be dead anymore. His mom told him, "Your children have to be our #1 priority. They're not just some disposable items you can leave behind when one chapter of your life closes." Maybe one day, he'll understand this. Comments from Flagging giving more background and context. He tried controlling his ex-wife. When they married she was blonde. Shortly after she had brown hair. After having the 2 kids, she wanted to go blonde again. He told her no, that he wants her to have brunette hair. Then he comes home with a tattoo, he never even uttered a word to her beforehand. He didn't want her working, or really ever leaving the house. She gained weight, understandably after having a baby. He was mad at her for not trying harder to lose it. Said he didn't marry a fat woman, it was mostly about control. She was blonde when they married. When they moved here she was brunette. After the kids, she wanted to go blonde again but he told her no. She gained weight after having the babies, he was mad at her for not trying harder to lose it. As he said, he didn't marry a fat woman. He wouldn't let her leave the house. She basically had to give him a daily schedule of what she was doing and where she was going. He wouldn't allow her to make friends, she wanted to get a little part-time job after the boy was born. He told her she wasn't allowed to do that. It was basically a marriage where he created rules for her to follow, but he could do whatever he wanted. He wouldn't help with the kids, meals or housework. He made her do it all, even through both pregnancies. I'm embarrassed he's my son, I'm just thankful she doesn't judge me for the way he is. I thought going off to college would make him mature, I didn't expect him to marry so quickly. Yes, I can hope it'll work out. But I know the odds are horribly against a successful long-term marriage. After his engagement take 2, I messaged him and told him he should slow it down, seek some counseling and work on himself before jumping too fast into another relationship. He won't listen to a single thing I have to say. I'm 47 and I've been with one woman my entire life, his mother. We're not perfect but I must be doing something right. I can't imagine jumping from relationship to relationship especially while kids are involved. My wife and I have had some boo-boos but we always work things out. And neither of us ever thought about cheating or even separating. On the wife's feelings about the situation. She understands. But says I should have attended the ceremony and dipped out before the reception. Just to keep the peace with him. So many people here have said he sounds narcissistic. I've heard the term a million times. I know it's a self-centered person but I've never researched it. Well, I did this afternoon. That perfectly describes him. He has no empathy, he's always right and everyone else is wrong. I see it's a taught behavior. I have no idea what I did or his mother did to have him develop narcissistic traits. I probably let too much crap slide maybe. He overwhelmed me a lot, he'd laugh at his consequences and act like I didn't have the authority to discipline him. We haven't had that good of a relationship anyways. He says I favored his sister. She didn't have me coming to the principal's office every other week or send the cops out for doing stupid shit. But that doesn't really matter here. He just gave me a run for my money as he grew up whereas his sister focused on her education and didn't get involved in delinquent behavior. He swore he wasn't cheating. I'm sorry but if my marriage fails, well it hasn't but I would do everything I could to prevent that. But I sure as hell wouldn't be calling 1-800, find, bride. Especially with kids involved. There's so many reasons I couldn't attend his wedding. I felt like it was a huge slap in his young children's face. He provided them an unstable household, then overnight daddy has a new stepmommy for you. He was without a doubt cheating. Emphasis added by OP. His ex knew it. I had even asked if there was someone else, but he swore there wasn't. My wife and I have spoken about this. She seems to think his wife now will work fine because she is a bit different than his ex. I don't see it working though. I don't know how many marriages and kids he'll end up having. I can't always pick up the pieces. If I talk to his wife, no telling what he'll do in return. Stories number 19. Aita for refusing to open my pool WOA safety gate. This has been a matter of contention for 3 years between myself, F36, and partner, M47. He inherited his family home 3 years ago, which includes a large 20 by 40-foot pool with a 10-foot deep end. The sliding glass door in the kitchen opens directly onto the pool area. For context, we have 2 kids together, age 5 and 3, and I brought 3 of my own into the relationship, 11, 12 and 17. Since we moved in, I have said the pool needs to be fenced in. The backyard itself is fenced in, so homeowners insurance grants a policy. But there is no gate fence anything between the house and the pool. The slider also grants access to our detached garage, which holds his office, and my oldest son's workshop. So the slider is utilized multiple times daily. Years 1 and 2, I got child-safe sliding door locks and alarms, trying to force everyone to go out the front door and around the house to access the garage. It didn't work. Partner would still utilize the sliding door. Older kids would go out that door to access the garage. Even forcing everyone out the front door isn't a fool's safe because a younger kid can still run around the house, through the garage, or gate. Drownings happen fast. I get told, just watch them. Yes, obviously. Youngest 2 are also in year 2 of swim lessons. I don't feel comfortable without a gated pool, bottom line. Here is my AITA. Question. This summer, I'm refusing to open the pool until a 6-foot fence with a locking gate is installed around the entire pool. My older kids are giving me grief that I'm ruining their summer. Partner has said he doesn't have time to install a fence, but won't hire anyone because no one can do anything as good as he can. #sarcasm. Family is upset they can't come swim. Stories number 20. Aita for implying my coworker can't do something because she's white. I work at a daycare in a very, let's say monochrome, neighborhood. I'm the only guy who works in a childcare role there. Sometimes I feel like my coworkers think I'm less competent because I don't have those natural maternal instincts I'm always hearing about. There are only 3 people who work here that aren't white, and one of them is me. So there's this little girl that I'll call Susie. She's one of the very few black children enrolled in the daycare. She got some paint in her hair. One of my coworkers, I'll call her Melissa, took Susie over to the kitchenette and picked up, I kid you not, the bottle of dish soap. I ran over, and said, "Hey, whoa, stop, don't do that." Melissa gives me an annoyed look and explains like she's talking to a toddler that Susie got paint in her hair and it needs to come out. I said that's all well and good, but you can't put dish soap in her hair. It's full of sulfates and will dry out her hair and make it brittle. She said, "I think I know a little more about hair care than you do." I said, "Not black hair," and got the step stool for Susie and wet her hair to soften the paint and then put olive oil on the spot and combed it out. Melissa looked angry and objected to the use of olive oil, saying it's gross to put food in a child's hair. Melissa also wanted to use a towel to rub Susie's hair dry, which I refused to let her do, ticking her off further. I took a t-shirt out of Susie's cubby and used it to squeeze the water out of her hair. Melissa complained about me to our boss, who said it's inappropriate to racially charge a situation that didn't call for it. I said black hair is different from white hair and Melissa doesn't know how to treat black hair. My boss said we don't differentiate children by race, as that would be inappropriate and that all of the caretakers are qualified to take care of all of the children. She also said I shouldn't be putting food in the children's hair, which, whatever. I feel strongly that I was in the right, but no one is on my side. Am I the asshole here? Stories number 21. Aita for not making the trip cross-country to meet my nephew because my family are assholes to my wife. Hi, my family hates my wife. They don't like that she took me away from the East Coast. She was bigger when we met. She didn't go to a good school. She doesn't want kids. She's too girly then not girly enough. She can seem cold at first because she is a little reserved. And on and on and on. It has been hard. I was close to my brother. But he led the charge early on because she called him out for something and he didn't like it. He's the favorite so they took his side. My little sister is the most neutral. I've tried to talk to them about it so many times but eventually just realized it wasn't going to change. I love my wife. I have no regrets. This past Christmas will be the last. They didn't give her any gifts, excluded her from the cookie party, and I caught mom and my aunts talking about her twice. I got us early flights and took her skiing. Her dad loves me. We have weekly cigar walks. Her mom drops by just for hugs. Her brothers and I have our own group chat. Her sister baked me a fucking birthday cake. It should be this way with my family. I'm trying not to be all emo, but this shit hurts. My brother, the favorite, is having his first child in July. They have asked me, not us, to come meet him. I told them no. I'm sick of the bullshit. Unless everything changes, I'm not going to waste my money. Mom got on the phone and told me I don't have to bring her, I should just come myself. I said no, we're married, we're a package deal. She twisted it to, oh, so she won't let you come unless she comes too, and I told her no, I'm saying this. I'm sick of them treating her like shit. It's Jerry Springer levels of trashy. Dumb thing to say, and it set her off listing all the grievances they have with her. Some of it is just stupid. She carries a water bottle wherever she goes. Yeah, Mom, she's from fucking California. We all do. Dad jumped in to back up Mom and accused me of holding adult problems against an unborn child. Said that I'm really going to not be a part of my nephew's life because my wife can't get along with the rest of the family. This is what I'm stuck on. Am I wrong? I do want to be in my nephew's life and it isn't his fault. But it feels wrong to reward them because it just won't ever end. Stories number 22. My crazy neighbor poisoned my creek and stole water. I live on a large property with a small house in the front. There are many small hot springs in the semi-rural mountain area that I live in, with many used by homeowners in their backyard. Many are piped indoors, but some have hot tubs built around them. I happen to have an active one in my backyard. Picture an in-ground hot tub being fed in from the hot spring, near my left neighbor's house. I'll call her CN for crazy neighbor. A small stream runs through the far backyards of the neighborhood and it's used for gardens and little nature areas that everyone on the street enjoys. I have my small fruit pepper garden watered by this stream and take really good care of it. For some visualization, it has a good amount of water flowing down and everyone on the street uses it some way. My right neighbor, who's a really chill dude, who I'll call Jay, has small pools he made that are fed by the stream, and 2 neighbors down has a garden similar to mine. Now on to the actual story. When I bought the house, the previous owners were sued by CN, her claiming that the land was rightfully hers. I don't know the details of her argument, but it was thrown out, as far as I know. The previous owners warned me of CN and not to engage with her family. When I moved in, CN's kids, I'd say probably 8, 9, and 10, brought over cookies and welcomed me to the neighborhood. I thought that the previous owner was exaggerating as they seemed sweet. I invited CN and her family to a small barbecue and they accepted. The second that they got in the house, CN started to explain the rules of the neighborhood. I thought it was pretty normal, like to not play loud music after 9, keep your car in the driveway to keep the street uncluttered, etc. Common sense rules, until she got to some rules regarding the stream and the hot springs. She said that kids were allowed in all parts of the stream, in private backyards, and that everyone could use each other's hot springs. I have the only hot spring on the street, so I was surprised by that. I interrupted her and told her that I wasn't comfortable with those, and she scoffed, saying that all neighbors were fine with it. I told her that I still wasn't comfortable with it. She ignored me, continuing with some questionable rules. The rest of the night was fine, but I felt like I wouldn't want to do it again. I talked to some neighbors across the next couple days, who all told me to steer clear of CN and that her rules were BS. I went over to CN's house and told her that I had talked to the other neighbors and that I wasn't comfortable with anyone being in my backyard without my permission. She scoffed and said okay. I had a lunch with Jay and he told me who CN was, a serial suer with her lawyer on speed dial to get whatever she wants. CN had sued a small chain pizza place in town into debt for having peanut oil on her pizza when she was allergic to it. The pizza chain didn't even have peanut oil, and many people in the small community believed that she put it on, but still lost everything. I decided not to ever talk to her or her family. A week later, I got home from the grocery store to see CN's kids, I'll call them EKs for entitled kids, splashing in my hot spring tub. It's outside and usually has a lid on that 2 small kids would definitely not be able to take off as it is heavy and large. I tell them that they're not allowed in it and to leave my yard immediately, and they stand their ground, telling me that their mom, CN, told them that it was theirs and that they could use it. I told them that that's not true and to leave now. They finally do. Before you think that I'm an asshole for that, remember that pools' hot tubs are dangerous and I don't want to be liable. I headed back out to buy locks for my gates. When I got back, CN was now there, demanding why I kicked her kids out. She reminded me of the rules, but I told her to leave immediately and that my security camera was recording. She cursed at me for a minute or two, then left. I was bluffing as I did not have security cameras, but I did order them on Amazon that night. The next day was fine, replanting a lot of my plants from my apartment's balcony into the empty garden, the one that's watered by the stream. I noticed that CN kept looking over the fence. For the following weeks, CN complained about the trees in my yard, the color of the fence, what I'm doing with the stream, etc. Jay occasionally came over and told her to F off. 3 weeks ago, I left for a couple days for a friend's wedding. I kept getting security alerts saying that there was motion in my backyard, often her kids playing in my garden, trampling my dear shishito peppers. I texted Jay to tell them to get out. If you're wondering why not call the police, they wouldn't do anything as they're just some kids. I had a suspicion that CN was telling them to do these things, but I didn't have much evidence. On the drive back, I got a security alert that there was motion in my backyard. I didn't check as I was driving, but when I stopped for gas, I checked and saw CN instructing a plumbing team installing piping from my hot spring into their yard. I had it save all of the footage and I sent messages to Jay about it. Jay told them that they weren't allowed to be doing that, but since it wasn't his house, they didn't listen to him. I called the police and they went, but they had already installed the piping. The team was just leaving through the gate, with a broken lock on the ground, when the police showed up. They said that they had been hired by the homeowner. The police waited for me to get there while talking to the team of workers, and I told them that I was the homeowner and that I hadn't paid them to do it. They looked confused. I went with the police into the backyard and I started ripping the unsecured piping out with a crowbar. CN starts shrieking from her yard and puts her head over the fence and starts yelling that I'm destroying private property and that she would sue me. CN then says that she has a contract with the owner of the house to have my hot spring water. The police are now confused. She shows a contract that read that she was paying me $2 per month in exchange for the water. CN won't give it to me so I could look at it besides waving it around in the air. The police eventually leave and warn me not to destroy the piping. I ripped up the small pipe that connects to the source as she's telling me that she'll see me in court. I contacted my lawyer and she said that CN had no case as she didn't know my signature and it would be easy to prove it was forged. I still haven't been served by CN's lawyer, but know that I will soon. In the meantime, I've been sitting in the hot tub for long baths while talking to myself loudly about how much I love it. Petty, but it made me feel good hearing the growls from across the fence. This is the final thing that made me post here, my garden wilting and dying at an unnatural rate. I heard a commotion out in CN's yard and I peeked over and saw her slowly pouring a massive jug of chemicals into the communal stream, which goes down to mine. I don't know if it's herbicides, plant killer, or something like bleach. It doesn't smell like bleach so I don't think it's that, but it's rapidly killing my plants. I haven't eaten any of the fruit peppers since as I'm worried I might get sick. I think that if I can get definitive proof of her doing it, I can maybe use it in court to prove how crazy she is. People swim in pools from the stream, so I warned Jay not to for the time being and told him to tell others. I know one neighbor removed her garden from the soil and moved it away from the stream just in case it got down to hers. I'm unsure of what I should do next. I don't think I live in a two-party consent state for video recording as it doesn't list it as one on the PDF I found. I might cross-post this into legal advice just in case. I do already have a lawyer, but it might be useful hearing free opinions from the internet. Edit. I forgot to say that I had water testing sticks arriving tomorrow. TLDR, crazy neighbor steals hot spring water and pours chemicals into communal stream, poisoning my garden. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, get a lawyer, the police, anyone. I'm not a legal expert but if you can prove CNB, crazy neighbor bitch, has been doing all these things you could probably take her to court or the police could end up taking her to jail. Reply, I already have a lawyer, but haven't gotten around to talking to her about this yet. Commenter 2, take a water sample and call the police. That's a criminal act. Possibly a terroristic act. Poisoning a community water source. Reply, nobody drinks out of it as the stream is a small fork off of a moderately sized gross creek. Would it still count as a community water source? Update 1, Jay offered to use a large drum in his garage to temporarily remove the water from the stream and seeing your comments, I'm taking him up on his deal. All the neighbors down the street that I've talked to so far, 2 besides Jay, agreed. One who has 2 sons said that they might block off the start of the stream. It is a small outlet of a moderately sized creek. It will probably be blocked off not that hard. Jay said that he can probably get the drum in place by tonight as his dad can help. Jay also has a sweet dog and definitely wants to protect it. I am going to remove my plants from the soil nearby the stream. Also, for reference in size of the stream, it's about 1 to 2 feet across. Truly just a stream. There's lots of obstacles and things that would probably filter out, but we definitely still have to be safe. I'll update later tonight or tomorrow. Update 2, big news. The nice neighbor's kids dammed up the stream at where it starts. It's a couple pieces of wood, a branch or two, and a lot of small rocks. There's still a tiny bit of water flowing, but it's absorbed by the soil higher up before CN. Jay got the drum out, but we turned out not to need it. There's water still in the pools in his backyard and we plan to do a water test. Apparently pH tests are sold in a store just 10 minutes away, so I will head there as soon as I finish this post. Update 3, Jay's getting the pH test and an oxygen level test, but I don't know how oxygen levels would play into it. I'll look at responses and figure out what to do next. I will call authorities soon. Update 4, the water test, pH came lower than the creek water before CN's house, a full 0.9 lower. Nitrates a bit higher, dissolved oxygen significantly lower. That's the only real changes in between the two tests. I wonder if she just poured a lot of vinegar. I think herbicides do change pH, but 0.9 is quite a bit I think. Update, cops pick up crazy neighbor. The makeshift dam broke and water has been flowing down, but it's been slow. CN complained to a neighbor up the street that she's on speaking terms with about me being a major asshole for not letting her kids use my hot spring tub. She let it slip that she poured vinegar in the stream as justice. The neighbor was also shown the contract for the pipes and she said that she didn't even have it signed by me. She and her lawyer had signed it, but without any signature space for me. I thought that she forged my signature, but she didn't have any agreement, fraudulent or otherwise, on my side whatsoever. The neighbor similarly dislikes her, but their kids are friends, so she has to talk to CN. I sent all the info to a local environmental charity that has contacts within environmental protection agencies. They usually deal with lakes and dumping, so this was in what they deal with regularly. The police were outside CN's house a couple hours ago and took her to the station. CN is back at her house, now yelling over the fence profanities while I'm having a coffee. I don't know if they arrested her and she paid bail or that she just was taken in for questioning or something. I know her brother-in-law works at the police station, but I wouldn't doubt that her family members have a strained relationship with her. I hope that she's stuck with a giant fine and/or jail time. CN's lawyer still hasn't served me regarding the pipes, and my lawyer is saying that CN has no case whatsoever. I'll update as soon as anything interesting comes up. Update 6, my power just went out in most of my house. I think CN just flipped the breakers to annoy me. Going outside ASAP. Update 7, CN indeed did flip the breakers. As far as I know, the security camera has an internal battery for some time after it's disconnected from the power, so I don't have to worry about her doing anything. Relevant comments. Commenter, she must have dumped hella vinegar to shift all that water almost a full point down. Are we sure it was household vinegar and not the type that's used as an herbicide? Reply, the pools in Jay's yard I think had the water go out and the acidic water stream down into it. When I looked, it looked like she was pouring Costco-sized jugs of it, but I didn't know it was vinegar at the time. I guess it could have been a different type. Can OOP sue CN for trespassing? Reply, I don't think you can sue someone for trespassing. I got a police officer to tell her that she wasn't allowed on my property, so I guess that might answer your question. Update. While the government does its thing against my neighbor, I would like to do the most legal annoying thing to do. Currently, I'm thinking about removing the piping and separating the original cost. I think I will send every piece individually through a local copy print delivery shop. I know the owner and I think he would think it would be hilarious and agree to it. The plan, please help with it. Remove the piping from the ground and separate every piece into small plastic baggies and boxes. Bring to copy print delivery shop. Plan deliveries of each package every period of time over a long time that requires signage. Wait, tip the copy print shop $100. What do you think? What else could I do? Update, the beginning of Sweet Revenge, May 11th, 2025, almost 3 hours later. I called the owner of the copy print delivery shop and he agreed to what I said in the previous post. I removed all of the pipes from my yard and put them into bags. I didn't have as much plastic bags and boxes as I thought, so I'm paying extra for the owner of the copy shop to supply them. He just delivered the first one to CN, I watched from the street, and CN's husband answered. He shouted for CN and she came up. I didn't hear any of the discussion, but she signed delivery sheet, took the package, of a single small corner pipe piece, and stormed into her house. She went up to the second-story window and proceeded to glare at me still glaring as I sit on my couch while writing this. Working from home will be so nice for watching this. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, why did you not sue her for tearing up your lawn? Lil Miss Sue Happy needs a taste of her own medicine. Reply, the pipes weren't buried much, and there isn't much lawn. Mostly wood chips and dirt and some native grasses. Update. Crazy neighbors weak jabs at me. Since my last post, there has been one more pipe delivery to CN and she is pissed. She stormed over to my house, after signing the delivery which I thought she would stop doing, and banged on the door. I started recording my front door and opened the door. I'm not dumb enough to let her in. CN starts shrieking about how I'm awful and that I had to keep the pipes installed as it was her property and that we had a contract. When I told her that the contract wasn't legal at all, she starts screaming at me. I stepped inside for a second and called the police with the door closed. CN continues banging on my door. I don't open until a police car comes down the street. I tell the police that I don't want her ever to be on my property and that she is trespassing. They relay that to her, and she takes up a hurt old lady act. For reference, she is in her 40s. CN tells them that my hot tub burned her youngest child and that I was luring kids in. I showed the police the camera footage and they asked her to come to the station with them. I'm assuming that she made some fake report, but I guess that will be another charge of lying to a police officer. I think that the officer, not CN's brother-in-law, believed me and saw that she was in fact a CN. I saw CN get back into her house and once again went up to the top window, staring. I closed the blinds. I thought she would stop. Honestly, it doesn't bother me, but to my surprise, she crosses the street to the side of the hill. There's a slope on the other side of the street from the houses. There's more houses up the slope, and stairs through my front window. I don't have blinds for that one and was about to head to a different room when I see her trip backwards. There's a small ditch for runoff, and land on her butt. CN lets out an ungodly shriek. It wasn't that loud, but I'd like to say it was, as she storms back into her house. I feel at this point, with all of the stuff from my lawyer, from Reddit, and neighbors saying that I am completely in the right and that CN is insane has made this more into entertainment than a scary situation for me. I have multiple locks arriving in a couple days and a new security camera for the side yard. If you have any legal suggestions, please tell me. If there's anything I should be aware of, please tell me. Relevant comments. Commenter, I don't understand how this has gone on for so long without Ellie getting more involved. If you have a clear deed with property lines drawn, it should be a cut and dry issue. Just because people did it before doesn't make it legal if you told them to stop. Which if you haven't done so yet, I can't remember from your OP, do it in writing and have her respond back in writing. Keep everything. Get a restraining order. Call the police every time she breaks it. Keep us posted. She does sound mentally unstable though. Have you spoken to her husband? Reply, her husband isn't willing to talk. When I first met him, he seemed fine, but kind of spineless. I think I will file a restraining order. Update, pulling back and going forwards legally. I've been told that messing with CN is probably not going to help out legally, especially with a restraining order, so I just told the copy shop owner just to deliver it all at once. I don't know if that's happened yet, but I'm fine not being looking when it happens. I will file a restraining order today. I don't know how it works, but I hope I can complete it today. No new news from CN except Jay saying that she looked really mad. I know this isn't a big update, but it's an update on the situation. Update, husband comes over to talk. This happened last night and I was too tired to update after it. CN's husband, I'll call him NH for neighbor husband, knocked on my door last night, alone. CN wasn't there, so I answered it. He then tells me that CN is going through some things right now, and some other stuff. He then asks me if I could let sleeping dogs lie. She did some stuff wrong, but she's a really great person. I told him that I would consider it. I'm not, but I didn't want to be in that conversation. I honestly thought that he would apologize about it, but making excuses like that is so pathetic. According to many of my neighbors, CN's been like this for years. I think he's trying to cover themselves from the bomb they just planted. That's all. New updates probably coming soon. Update, some resolution, but not in the way you think. I was typing this out earlier, but it didn't save as a draft, so I will paraphrase it instead of writing it all out like earlier. I went out to get my mail and I noticed CN rush out of her house onto her porch to watch me. I take the mail and head inside. Through the endless sea of junk mail, there was a wedding invitation. Nobody I know remotely nearby is getting married and I didn't recognize the names or the faces. On the back was a handwritten letter thanking me for volunteering my house for the bachelorette party and inviting me to wedding at a local venue. Definitely did not invite anyone to use my property for a party. My backyard isn't the biggest for a party. I don't know who these people are. I took a picture of the front and the back and then went and made a copy of the invitation and cut it to the right size. I then took the copy and walked in front of CN's house, in the street. She is looking from the door. I then light the copy on fire, safely. She runs out and starts yelling at me. I am not entirely listening as I had an earbud in my left ear listening to a podcast. I listened to podcasts while doing my routines and hadn't bothered to take it out, and at one point, I heard the groom's name. Clearly she was behind it, I knew before, this just solidified the fact. I called her husband and told him that I was not hosting the bachelorette party and to leave me alone. He asks which one. I told him the names of the bride and groom. He is audibly surprised. He then tells me that the groom is CN's son from a teenage pregnancy, not with him. He then said that he would talk to CN about it, calling it an accident. I find the name of the dad of the groom and call him. He sounded super genuinely grateful when I told him who I was. I asked him about CN and he said that she had left the baby with him, and when he had sued for child support, the judge said that it was his poor choices that led to the baby and he was responsible for it, without child support. I told him the situation, and he sounded defeated. Apparently, the groom had been quick to forgive his absent mother, CN, and had invited her against the dad's wishes. He said that he would tell the groom and the bride about the situation. I then had a thought that would be the absolute perfect revenge. I offered to host the party for free with 2 rules. They don't damage anything and clean everything up. CN is blocked at the door of the wedding despite her invitation. My invite to the wedding still stands. He said he would discuss it with the bride and groom. Even if he says no, it's worth a try. I just realized I typed it all up in detail despite what I said at the beginning. I will probably get the news in the next couple days. Update. It was worth a try. I will call the groom's dad GD and groom and bride G and B. I was looking over some comments just before posting this and realized I don't want to be screwed over, so I am staying back. Also, GD gave me a call extremely late last night and told me that G wanted to meet his mom, CN, at the wedding. B was supportive, thinking it would be an extremely wholesome wedding. GD said that he would try to find another location for the party, but that it would be hard this late as B had a large bridesmaids group. GD is going to help CN with preparing for the wedding at his son's request, even though he thinks it might be a disaster. My plants that are near the stream look scorched as if they were in a fire. I'm talking about the plants that are next and around the stream, not in my garden. I think the next steps are through legal means and not through petty actions. I will keep you all updated. Update, piecing parts together. CN had been trying to gain access to the hot spring for as long as she's known of it. She had tried lawsuits, land disputes, and other legal and legally dubious means to get it. When she heard of her son becoming married, she thought that she could have a good attempt at gaining access to the hot spring. CN had initially offered to use her house for a price for the bridesmaids' party, but since it didn't have anything good for a party, B had declined. She couldn't find another place though, but still didn't want CN's house. CN had then had the bright idea to tell the B and G that she had had a natural, healing, and amazing hot spring in her yard, and B said yes. This is when CN tries the whole piping the hot spring to her yard. She obviously doesn't get far into that plan. After I dismantle all the piping, she volunteers my house and backyard for the party. I think that the stream pollution was lashing out because she was mad before she volunteered my house. No updates besides what I've pieced together from assorted sources. Update, revenge is back in action, without me needing to participate. GD called me about 10 minutes ago. I was going to post the update right away, but I was reading some of the comments. This is what he said, and asked if my offer about hosting the bridesmaids party was still standing. This is heavily paraphrased to be readable, but all the main points and events are there. GD met up with CN to talk to her about the wedding, mostly setting boundaries. He went to her house, with his phone recording just in case anything happened, knowing the history of CN. GD is talking to CN very formally, as much straight facts as possible when he glances through a cracked open door into her bedroom. I don't remember the word he used to describe it, it was a very good way to say it, but kind of out of the corner of your vision when you're avoiding eye contact. GD sees multiple white dresses laying on CN's bed. They are fancy dresses. Not quite wedding dresses, but definitely close. GD can't stop staring at it. He then asks CN about what she's wearing to the wedding, and CN says that she has a couple dresses picked out. He connects the dots and subtly leaves the conversation, calls B and G and tells them what he saw. He then gives G some of CN's history. B then asks if they can do the house with the hot spring then. GD tells me that he knows that I don't like CN and that I wouldn't be at the wedding, but that the rest of the deal would stand. I told him sure, but not to let CN know about it, just letting herself think that I got pushed around by him into hosting. I know that the agencies I contacted about her pouring vinegar into the creek have been investigating, so even though it likely wouldn't, I hope it all falls out on the day of the wedding. Update, CN angry. I've been asked for an update. There has not been much crazy neighbor activity over the time that I haven't updated. I think she installed a step stool on her side of the fence as she's been looking evil eyeing me whenever I'm in the hot tub. The wedding's coming up next weekend, so I'm interested in what's going to happen. Not much has happened besides that. Update, really funny mini revenge. Okay, I've been told to skinny dip in the hot spring. I'm not doing that. I am not socially okay enough for my neighbor to see, even if it's to get revenge. I do know some people who are. This happened yesterday around 1, just for reference. I tell some friends who are comfortable in their own bodies that they could hang out in the hot tub and I'm not going to be there, so they could do whatever. I more asked them to do it after I gave a little bit of backstory of the neighbor. They happily agreed and they came around 1. I left for a nice long lunch when they came and I told them to call me if anything happened. I also turned off the back security camera just to not be weird. Not 30 minutes later do the cops call me asking if I was okay with the people in my backyard. CN had called the cops for a trespassing, hypocrite, and they had arrived and talked to my friends. They had my number and they called me. I told them that I invited them over and the cops left. I didn't get a call this time, but the police were called again for my friends, exposing themselves to children. The police knew that they were in a private backyard, but still came and pretty much left almost immediately after. It was the same officers, I think. That's all. I don't think I'm going to do anything until the wedding. Thank you for the astounding amounts of comments, it's absolutely insane. Update, creek modifications. My neighbor 2 houses down just came up to me and asked if I would allow the stream to be changed in my yard. Jay already said yes. There's a landscaping company that's going to be installing limestone along the creek for acid neutralization or something like that. My neighbor 2 houses down does have a garden similar to mine and I guess that's why. Not a big update. I said yes. I hope this can prevent future acid attacks. Not a big update. I said, update, the wedding. I haven't updated in a while even though some stuff has happened just so I could save it for this giant update. I am so shocked by what happened and I guess I should have listened to some advice about being safe. Also, I phrased the update about the card wrong as the bridesmaids party was last night and the wedding is today. The ceremony just finished just a couple minutes ago and I got the news of what happened by a mutual friend who went to the wedding. I didn't know he was a mutual friend or going to the wedding. I told him about the situation a while ago and he decided to let me know. Friday, CN kept looking over the fence. I would have turned on sprinklers, but I don't have any because I don't really have grass in my backyard. Later in the day, a police car pulled into CN's driveway and a bit after, it left. CN's revenge of staring at me continued a lot more after that. I don't understand why she wastes her time doing it. It doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. Saturday, some people knocked on my door midday asking if I could let them into the backyard to set up for the bridal party. I called GD and he said it was the right people, just to be safe. They set up some surprisingly expensive and nice decorations and furniture in the yard, not in a destructive way. People come in and out while setting up and the backyard looks amazing. CN continuously peered over the fence for a good amount of time, but I didn't care. Around 6, B and all the bridesmaids, I'll do M for bridesmaids, also about 20 bridesmaids there. I stayed inside mostly, but they occasionally asked me to come out and they drunkenly thanked me. I think the MS were very wealthy as I received a little over 3K in tips from them as I occasionally brought out a carton of ice cream. Well worth it I think. More to the events of the party. CN had a campfire in her backyard around 9, but there wasn't really any wind, so the smoke just stayed in her yard. I think she tried to smoke us out, but maybe she was just having a little fire, I doubt it though. She then gets her hose to put out the fire and accidentally sprays water over the fence. Eventually, once the party winds down and they're packing up, B hands a card signed by all of them thanking me for hosting with additional tips inside, about 2K. I was honestly stunned how nice they were. Around 11, a very drunk CN bangs on my front door as I'm about to go to sleep. I don't answer, but have the video on the doorbell camera. She leaves after a bit and I go to bed. This morning, this is a second-hand account, so I won't have all the details. CN comes to the wedding in her very white dress and demands to be let in, but the security denies her. She tries to push the security, but he isn't fazed. People were watching, but my friend who was there had to go do something, I didn't ask what. When he gets back, CN isn't there. What's happening on my side? This is my account that is right after, but before I got the news about what happened. CN bangs on my door and tries the knob. Since I was getting groceries a bit before, I had accidentally left it unlocked. She comes into my house. I call the cops as soon as I see her open my door. I run upstairs while I give the info to the cops. CN screams at me and eventually slaps me in the face. I'm screaming at her to leave and she tries to slap me again. I grab her wrist and she screams. I basically drag her out the front door right as the police arrive. She is put in the back of the cop car and the police interview me. I tell them and they leave, then I get the news. CN is not back. I honestly won't argue with people about if this is true or not, as what happened this morning doesn't feel real even though I just lived through it. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, cops kept CN. Reply, yeah, I think so. Commenter 2, OMG. What did they charge her with? Breaking and entering. Trespassing. Assault. You have so much patience with this woman. Way more than I ever would. She is lucky it was your house and not someone else's. She knows she can get shot, right? Or is she just that stupid? Can you get a restraining order against her? That way, she can't even talk to you. Order of protection. I know you are not afraid of her, but I would do it just so I could get her repeatedly arrested. I wish I had nerves of steel like you have. I am in my 50s and disabled and I don't have that kind of patience. I never had kids by choice, so my patience has always been pretty good, but I definitely don't have the kind of patience you do with your neighbor. Seriously, they could make a Lifetime movie about this whole story. I will be looking for it. Please keep us posted. I am so invested in this story. And stay safe. Reply, I am pressing charges. I have been trying to be less patient. Stories number 23. My girlfriend, 26F, of 1 year hid a cosmetic procedure from me, 27M. What perspective might I be missing? I've been with my girlfriend for a little over a year and I love her very much. But I recently discovered several things that she hid from me that are concerning to me. I was out of the country traveling for 2 weeks with my friend about a month ago. While I was gone, she got surgery on her eyelids, blepharoplasty, purely for cosmetic reasons, without telling me. When she FaceTimed me while was traveling, she was wearing dark glasses and lied and said she was covering an eye infection. When I got back I noticed discoloration around her eyes, which she said was from the infection, which seemed odd but I let it go. But I noticed there was still scarring several weeks later and asked about it again, and she got mad and said to drop it. I finally looked up the symptoms, and got a clear answer that it was the result of eyelid surgery. I brought this up and she finally admitted to it, but had no explanation for hiding it from me other than that she was embarrassed. I recently noticed a herpes antiviral medication in her supplement drawer that was open. Admittedly, I should have made more of a conscious effort not to read the label on any pill bottles there, but I saw it sitting there and was already familiar with what that medication was for. She has never told me about having herpes. I understand that it's not a big deal, that most people have it, HSV-1, and that it is way over-stigmatized. And it's not transmissible while she's on the medication, so technically there was no reason for her to have needed to tell me. But it still feels like something she should have mentioned at some point in the past year. We have unprotected sex. While discussing the two things above, she also let slip that about 6 months ago she ordered semaglutide GLP-1, generic Ozempic, from a sketchy online operation and had been taking it. I think GLP-1s are an amazing tool to help people genuinely struggling with obesity, but my girlfriend is a totally healthy weight. I know the medications she takes are not my business, but this is concerning to me because 1. There is no medical reason for her to be taking it 2. While there are some legit, totally safe sellers of online semaglutide, injecting herself with something from a sketchy seller was putting her safety at risk without any medical necessity. She also didn't tell me about this before because she was embarrassed. I have 2 big concerns after all of this. Trust, I now feel like she has no qualms hiding things from me. This could be a real issue in the future if it was something more serious. Body modification. My girlfriend got lip injections several months ago. She got this eyelid surgery I mentioned. She was injecting herself with powerful weight loss medication despite being a healthy weight. It seems to me she has zero reservations about any sort of body modification or experimentation. I am trying to be open-minded and respect her autonomy to do what she wants with her body, but frankly I feel like there's something really upsetting about her desire for these procedures. I love her just the way she is already so beautiful and I've told her this. So far these are relatively minor things she's done, but I'm worried that she has some level of body dysmorphia and that this is a slippery slope she is on, that she will continue to get more and more unnecessary work done, all of which has risk, without asking or wanting my opinion. I would find it so unattractive if she were to get plastic surgery that significantly changed her appearance. Can you all provide some different perspectives on this? This all feels wrong to me, but maybe I'm overreacting and not being empathetic to her feelings and privacy about her body. She has so many amazing qualities and I don't want this to be a big issue, but I'm feeling worked up and scared. Stories number 24. My boyfriend admitted he orchestrated our meet cute. I have no idea how I feel about what he told me. I want to think it's cute that he cared this much, but it's just coming off as creepy and I feel lied to. He got drunk because we were celebrating my first successful day at my clinicals and he ended up saying something along the lines of, "Could you believe we wouldn't be this happy if I hadn't watched you for so long?" To which I was confused and didn't know what he meant. Well, I had worked at a local library for 2 years, before we met, during college, and apparently he saw me there but didn't actually talk to me. He just would watch me and listen in on my conversations with the people I was checking out and my coworkers to figure out what I liked. Then he apparently followed me and found the coffee shop I frequented. All this time I thought we had a sweet first-time meeting story. He accidentally bumped into me, apologized, and offered to buy me coffee for the trouble. He told me what he was ordering and it was the exact same thing I always get, and I thought it was an amazing coincidence. I joked that it was fate and we spent like an hour talking over coffee. I feel so stupid. Apparently it was similar to a scene in a book that I had read and told my coworker I had thought was cute. I'm just so frustrated and angry. I feel betrayed, like why would you do this? And how much of our 1.5-year relationship is a lie? Like it sounds like he was stalking me. Edit, just so we're all on the same page, I don't believe he was watching me the whole time I was working there. I think it was the last 6 months or so before I actually met him. He is a bit socially awkward, but he has a group of friends that he plays D&D and hangs out with like once a week. He's 25 and I'm 22, so it's not a weird age gap. I have never really considered him going through my phone weird because I basically let anyone look at my phone whenever. I'm not worried about anyone seeing anything. I've also never really been worried about my safety with him before, but I do know that he has anger issues and has gotten in trouble for getting into a few physical fights, so for those of you worried about me, I will be watching for any signs I might have missed. I mainly am just upset because I feel like our relationship was built on a lie, even if it was a smallish one. He also said he was interested in a lot of the same things I was when we first met, and for a while he kept up with them, but lately he hasn't at all, and I'm now wondering if he lied about those things too. I definitely need to have a conversation with him, and I'm driving home now, so I'll talk with him when I get there. Thanks for the feedback, folks. Stories number 25. Aita for telling my MIL she can't take her grandson for an entire day by herself. I, F30, had a baby 5 weeks ago and live long distance from my in-laws. Mill is coming into town next week to visit meet baby and wants to take him all over town for an entire day without me. He is exclusively breastfed and does not take a bottle. He will only eat for a few seconds, then screams and looks for breast. He has never been away from me and gets worked up and fussy when I leave the room for more than a few minutes. He is happy and healthy but very attached to me, which is don't think is unreasonable for being exclusively breastfed and only 5 weeks. MIL has told my partner multiple times that he needs to make me put baby on a bottle so she can take him, and that I do not know what's best for the baby. This is her first grandbaby but baby number 3 for me, so I am not new to this. They say I am trying to keep the baby from her and I'm selfish for thinking it's too early for him to be away for an entire day. No one on my side of the family has had him by themselves. He has never been anywhere without me. I am happy to let her have all the time with him that she wants as long as we are all in the same place. She is not familiar with the area and has not communicated where their hotel is, what they will be doing, where they're going, or how long she wants him, just that she wants him by herself, for the entire day, specifically without me. I'm getting alarm bells and red flags from the entire situation. My partner has said, I will not be with someone that would keep my baby from my mom and be so selfish. But I'm just trying to protect my infant. I told them they can spend all the time with him that they want and I won't interfere unless he needs to eat or gets too worked up. Aita. Edit, my answer is unequivocally no. She cannot take my baby anywhere. Thanks for the support, hugging face. More detail, they are from a Caribbean country where there are many cultural differences as well as language barrier, so I did not see the red flags until I was very pregnant. I have only met MIL in person once a few years ago and she put the crazy away for that occasion. He said many times throughout my pregnancy that he wanted the baby born in his home rather than here in the States where we live, but I made clear that was not feasible. He has also expressed that he wants to take baby back to his home country to learn his language and culture at some point. I fear that he and MIL are plotting something behind my back, but I have been told I'm being controlling, manipulative, dramatic, and selfish so many times in the past week that I think I'm losing my grip. Am I actually seeing the signs I'm seeing, and do I need to be reacting as strongly as I am? I will not be letting baby out of my sight, and she will be lucky to see baby at all with the way she is behaving. Is that too overbearing or just being a protective mother? I haven't gotten enough sleep for this. Stories number 26. My boss called me an autistic robot and stuck me with the worst job, so I changed the rerouting phone number to mine and changed the security camera passwords. My first job was customer service based, and it was a nightmare. I worked at a car rental yard that had a car wash next to it. They were owned by the same person, but on paper they were 2 separate businesses. They worked in tandem, though. The rental cars were cleaned at the car wash, but the car wash was open to the public as well. Some absolutely fucked up shit happened there. the worst of which was probably the time someone had a murder victim in a barrel in his car and he used the car wash to wash away the blood that leaked out. But a lot of other stuff happened there as well, so I had to become quite familiar with the security system since I had police come for footage often. On the weekends, the car rental yard would close at 2 p.m. but the car wash had to be manned until 5 p.m. That's because some car wash services required hands-on work from a professional. We were all employees of the car rental yard, but I was the only one treated as a car wash employee, so I was the only one who had stayed behind to man the car wash. The reason I was stuck with that job is because management didn't like me. Not because of something I had said or done, but because of my personality. They thought I was an autistic robot, which are words they actually said to me. To put into perspective how much they didn't like me, I worked there for 5 years and not once did I get invited to a Christmas party. At first I figured it was because there was no party to get invited to, but nope, it turns out they had parties every year but they excluded me on purpose and made sure everyone knew to keep it a secret from me. One year though a new hire accidentally let it slip, and when I asked management if it was true, they said yes and that I wasn't invited because I made people uncomfortable. They actually used the phrase, autistic robot, to describe my personality. So that explained why I was segregated to the car wash section by myself instead of the rental section. Before I started, they rotated who was a car wash employee so it was more equal, but when I started I was quickly stuck there by myself. At first I didn't understand why, but it all made sense in the light of that comment, so I started to resent being there a lot. I decided that if they didn't have respect for me then I didn't have to respect them. Since they would ditch me at 2 p.m. on the weekends leaving me to work alone until 5 p.m., I decided I would stop doing work in that time. I would have just packed up and left after they did, but I had to set the alarm and they knew when the alarm was set, so I had to be around until 5 p.m. My plan was to just sit in the office and watch Netflix or something until 5 p.m., but customers kept showing up and interrupting me. I figured out that if I wanted to do nothing interrupted, I had to make the place look closed. So I started packing up after they left, then I'd just sit in the dark office watching Netflix and eating Indian food from the restaurant down the street. It became a ritual. I'd get a nice curry and naan and chill for a few hours on company time. This worked for a couple of weeks until a customer decided to ring. Up until that point, customers who showed up looking for a deluxe hand wash would either leave or settle for an auto wash. But this guy who rang really wanted a deluxe wash. He Googled our opening hours, realized we should be open, so he called. The thing is though, the car wash didn't have a phone. All calls went to the car rental offices next door. And when those ring out, the call gets redirected to the boss's phone. So I was sitting in the dark car wash office eating my curry when I got a call from my boss. He told me about the phone call and that he saw me on the security camera sitting in the dark. He was not happy. I managed to escape most of the ire due to the time it was. It was about 4:30 so I managed to convince him I only closed 30 minutes early instead of 3 hours early. He still wasn't happy, but it could have been a lot worse. I wasn't deterred, though. I thought I had worked out all the kinks in my brilliant plan, but 2 remained. Customers who called would reach the boss, and the boss had remote access to the cameras. Luckily though, I knew the admin password to the cameras thanks to having to retrieve footage for the cops, and the password was the same for the phone account. So I changed the rerouting number to mine and I reset the password to the cameras to default. I thought about changing it to something else entirely, but I figured I'd have plausible deniability if it was discovered the password changed. If it was reset to default, it could have been a glitch or an accident. Besides that though, I had a feeling that they only looked at the cameras if they felt they needed to, so I figured as long as they didn't get a reason to check, then they'd never realize they were logged out of the cameras due to an incorrect password. And with all rerouting calls going to me instead, they would never have a reason to check the cameras. So every weekend when they left, I'd change the number to mine, get my curry and shut up shop. Afterwards, I'd change the number back so they wouldn't find out. I did that for 6 months without getting caught. Only about 3 or 4 people called during that time, and I just told them the Google hours were wrong. In my opinion, they deserved worse. Any business willing to discriminate against employees for something like being an autistic robot deserves to be sued into bankruptcy 100 times over. Fuck those people. Stories number 27. Am I, 24M, overreacting or is this enough reason to break up with my 27F? Girlfriend October 31, 2017. I have been with my girlfriend for about 5 years. We both still live at home with parents while going to college. Over 5 years, we have had very happy moments, but also some bad moments. One thing about her that has always driven me nuts is that she is always late to everything. I mean like a daily thing. If we plan to see friends at 3 p.m., she won't be ready till 6 p.m. It also extends to doing things on time. For example, This is the third year in a row she did not give me a gift for on my birthday, saying she has it ready but she'll give it to me later. Well, it's been about 2 months since. Another example is this past Saturday, we were supposed to dress up for Halloween and meet friends for a night out at 5 p.m., yet she wasn't ready until 9 p.m., at which time my friends were all long gone. I realize some people just make a habit of being late, but it's been 5 years and I am not joking when I say this happens every other time we see each other. The worst part for me is that she will always have a random excuse and won't admit fault at being late. She'll blame traffic, her parents, got an important phone call, etc. This has really gotten on my nerves and we've argued about this several times before. Before I met her, I was sort of a perfectionist and would usually be on time to mostly everything, but ever since I met her I have become more and more like her. It's gotten to the point where I don't even want to make plans with her because I just get lazy at the thought of her. She is a very caring, nice girl and I do love her, but I am at a point where I've basically had enough of this. On 3 separate occasions, I've been really close to breaking up with her over this before but she has made false promises of changing this behavior. Am I overreacting or is this a legitimate reason to break up? TLDR over past 5 years girlfriend has constantly been late and seems to always make excuses. Should we break up over this? Top comments. Commenter 1. Ask yourself this, if you drop her and she gets picked up by one of your league mates, will you be okay with that? She may continue to put up trash stats, but she may turn it around and make you regret this come playoffs. Commenter 2. That right there is a fucking trap. Just because their points go up for a week or two due to some freak plays doesn't mean they aren't doing the same things you had issues with in the relationship. They still won't take you to the championship. If you are dropping someone then you need to be all in. Commenter 3. Love how this is tagged as player discussion lol. Commenter 4. Playa discussion. Commenter 5. She's like Crowell. Always promising to produce results week in and week out with occasional signs of massive potential and, could this be the time it's permanent change? It'll never happen though, drop her for a flyer. Commenter 6. She's 27 and does shit like this? Run. Commenter 7. Yeah, you can wait to see if a younger player improves but very rarely do we see somebody break out at 27 and turn into an MVP type player. Sure it happens, but not with people who can't be bothered to show up to practice on time and put in the work. Edit. Obviously posted in wrong sub but actually got some good feedback in here. Just to clarify, she's not always 3 to 4 hours late, usually it's more like 1 to 2. Also, she is also late to class pretty often, 15 to 30 minutes, but she's actually on time for work usually. Edit 2, left for a few hours and come back to see this is the top post ever on our fantasy football. Seriously, holy crap. I never thought such a simple mistake would get this amount of upvotes. Thanks to everyone who contributed and for the gold. I have more than enough feedback to know what to do. Also, thanks to the our fantasy football community, although I didn't mean to post here I can see the bond this sub gives us. I'm also very sorry such a ridiculous post that has nothing to do with FF has made it to the top. I know a lot of you were disappointed, thinking I'd drop some sort of clever shit post, but I'm really just a dude who was looking for relationship advice. Well, I clearly found it. Update. Hey guys, OP of that post here. I've been gone for a few days and come back to see this post. I haven't been in the sub in a while cause I'm barely getting over losing in my championship by less than 5 points with Lamar on my roster. I know I haven't updated with a new post. I have a few reasons why. The post really was a mistake on my end, no, really I swear, I meant to post on our relationships from my Reddit app but it was like 4 AM and I was half asleep and accidentally changed the sub. I was honestly really embarrassed as I'm usually a private person. The reason I left it up was because I thought mods would delete it eventually, so I just went to sleep, only to wake up to thousands of replies and DMs. I really enjoyed reading so many comments. I know I disappointed so many people with my post because they thought it would lead into some hilarious football reference. I got some hate in the DMs and in the comments as well. That is part of the reason why I never posted an update, I just didn't want to ruin the integrity of this sub. Now seeing so many people in an update during the fantasy off-season, it makes me happy to see that many of you enjoyed it. Also, I got some really informative replies that really helped out my relationship. And yes, I am now a 26M and still currently with the same 29F lol. I showed her the post and she read through several of the replies and let's just say she got a wake-up call. Although I can't say it's a perfect relationship or anything like that, the being hours late to everything is mostly under control now. I found out that like in fantasy, sometimes I just gotta bench her when she's not performing too well and hope she does better the next time. I started leaving her behind when she was late AF and that seems to work really well. We also looked into ADHD as some people commented, and apparently we both have a mild form of it. But this is relatively new info and I want to get a second opinion. I'll probably post an update sometime this coming season, but for now I want all of you to know that I am still in this relationship, she still is a GF1 in most stats, and I have all of you to thank for the great advice. Update 2. It was weird, man. I usually browse Reddit on my phone and that night we'd gotten into an argument that had my mind thinking and not letting me sleep. I made that post at around 6 a.m., having not slept all night. Originally I meant to post it to our relationship advice, but I kept questioning whether I should post my life on Reddit. I deleted my post on there but not before I copied it, just in case I changed my mind. Later on I decided to just wing it and post it, but I accidentally posted it here by total accident. I caught the mistake when so many people started messaging me so soon, but I noticed a mod had commented on it as well. I thought nothing of it and left it to the mods to delete, then went to sleep as it was already morning. As soon as I wake up and look at Reddit, I'm shocked to see how crazy it had become. It was insane. All over a simple mistake. At first I was disappointed in myself cause it's totally unrelated to fantasy football and I feel people who read the post were waiting for that Josh Gordon punchline but it never came. I had a few people send me angry messages, but they were heavily outnumbered by so many people offering valuable advice. I did end up posting the same on our relationship advice, but this sub gave me much better advice that has helped my relationship get better ever since. So I'm thankful for that and it's something I will always remember. Edit, yes. Luckily I am still with the same GF. Thanks to my fantasy bros. Stories number 28. Aita for leaving my cheating fiancé and then cutting financial support making her family go back to poverty. So I come here for advice because everyone on my family and friends circle thinks I'm overreacting and need to forgive and the usual bullshit, so I want to know if you guys think the same. Let me get you the context first. I Paul, 33M, meet my fiancé Andrea, 32F, in high school both were 15 at the time of, and since then we both stay together. We had our rough patches when I went to study to a nearby city but used to visit her most of the time, but when I finally got my studies done and was able to work at the town we both are, things got better. To this I have to add Andrea comes from a really poor family, we talking 8 siblings, a house made out of wood and a zinc roof, gotta bless South America standards. So knowing this I was mostly the provider of our relationship, it didn't bother me. I love to take her out to eat ice cream and see her smile, same when I take her to car rides on my father car. As time progressed the things I could afford got better since I study in IT and landed a high paying job working on the town bank. I was almost set for life, I could say. To this that I got myself a nice place to live that I rent from an old man that my parents knew. We are talking one of those ranch houses with plenty of rooms to spare and 2 floors all, so she could live on a bigger house like she used to say. Then one day she asked me if her parents and 2 of her sisters, 12F and 14F, could come live with us, that their living conditions are really bad, and I knew that, so I said yes. We had rooms to spare and we weren't expecting a child, so why not? I thought I know them, and even humble as they are, they're good people. Fast towards then and I help pay for a private school for her 2 sisters plus some medical treatment her mother has going through. I must say the rest of their brothers try to pinch some money but mostly have day-to-day jobs, and you know how the economy is a hellhole down here, so it never bothered me helping them since I could. Now comes the famous D-Day. We got invited to a birthday of one of her nephew and told her she should go first, then after I'm out I'll go. Then I arrive 2 hours later, then I ask one of her nephews where is she, then he points me at the restroom place the park has, so I walk there and I turn the corner to see my fiancé hugging and kissing one of her family friends. She sees me, we both lock eyes, of course she panicked, tell me this is not what it looks like, right? And I bolt towards my car. Funny scene that me running out of the situation make the other kids follow me thinking I'm playing a game, but her family pick up fast something was happening as she start banging on my glass windows and screaming as I turn the car on and then drive off. I have no idea what happened after that, just know I felt like shit and went to my parents' place and hide on one of their empty rooms. After a week I had to face her of course and return home to see a whole congregation, basically all her family was there. Imagine 2 parents, 8 fucking siblings with kids included, and her all came together to try to see if I could forgive, if I could see past her betrayal. We kind of fight a little but of course I was overwhelmed. Then I asked the question if the cheating was going for long. She didn't answer, so I just walk away to a bunch of people screaming at me to come back, don't be a coward, try to see beyond this. You get the idea. Then 3 days later I asked her to talk alone, told a couple of mutual friends to help us and we set a meeting. Then as I arrived first explained to them, then told then who he was, and all to which I learned from one of them that the guy she was with was a ex. From what period I really don't know and I don't wish to know, so you get the idea that the moment I learn about that information I drop the meeting, send her a message saying is cancelled and that I would go pack my stuff. And so I did. 2 weeks later after the whole fight I was moving out the place back to my parents. We fought a lot and had to face each and single one of them trying to convince me to forgive their sister mistake, but I end up blocking them and putting my foot down, telling them is not their business. Then her friends pile up, even some of my friends too, saying is just a mistake and blah blah. Then what hurt the most was both my parents saying that seeing me like that wasn't right and perhaps I should Forgive and fix our relationship, and yup, in this whole parade of people nobody give a damn how I was doing, only our relationship, to which I end up cutting ties with most of them besides some of my best friends and my parents on a low contact deal as I moved to a 1-by-1 shitty block apartment I could rent fast. Now 2 months after the whole ordeal I paid the last month, then cut ties with all payments, the house I was renting gone, the private school gone, her mother medical treatment and pills gone also, and I must say try to hold that much while being 2 teenagers, 2 retire folk and a housewife who barely finished nurse school. You get the idea. When the bill came to her she lost it all and came running to my parents, to which she didn't found me, so she went to my work and came to talk. When I went out she grovel and cry that she didn't want this of us and to give her another chance if it's not for her mother. I said that I had no attachment more to her or her family and drive off. Now she has talked with most of the people on my circle again, and of course they say I shouldn't be this cruel, that I have the money to spare. Even again my parents, why let them suffer after all this time, that I should have a little more compassion for them, to which I think who has compassion for me. So Reddit, I'm the asshole here for cutting the payments and possibly killing grandma because I stopped paying or care that they go back to their shithole house because they can't pay the other one. TLDR, fiancé cheated, so I cut the payments of her family problems and studies, making them go into debt and back to poverty. Edit. First of all, I want to apologize to all of you for reading such a mess of a text. I wrote it on my phone, but that's no excuse. I should have put it on Word first or something. Second, I want to thank you all for the comments. I was really overwhelmed here around me, and I really needed someone else who could understand my point of view. Besides a couple of best friends, the majority was to forgive and move back. But now I think I get the message. I'll try to move on and block. For my parents I'll stay low contact since I do understand why they kinda side with her, but I don't want to hear what they have to say. And for my fiancé I'll try to stay away as much. I know it would be hard being in this small town and all, but right now I feel like shit and I don't want to know the whole story of why, and when perhaps one day when I get the courage I'll humiliate myself and ask her. I thank you all very much for the comments again, and I hope you all can have a nice day. Update, Aita for leaving my cheating fiancé and then cutting financial support, making her family go back to poverty. Well, I never thought I would be back writing an update, but after a couple of private messages asking for it and a couple of life-changing revelations and some may or bad news, I think I'm ready to write this. So, before I begin the update, I'll add some information I learned around a month and a half ago about my ex. Basically, a friend of hers saw my frail appearance while I was working. I lost around 15 kilograms from this whole drama and harassment, so she felt guilty about hiding so many secrets of my ex and wrote to me on Instagram telling me to meet up. We met up in one of the plazas, and she told me that she was getting married soon. She felt guilty about what she hid about my ex. For starters, she explained when it all started. Like many guessed from the previous post, it was around the time I was doing the 4th year at university to my graduation. Since it was a heavy time for me, personally, I didn't come back home as much, so we kept it long distance for a time, and the stress made me not focus on other things, like social or interactions and such. During this period, she was studying to become a nurse, but then she stopped studying. Her reasons? She didn't have the money for it, or so she told me. The actual reason was that she got pregnant by the guy and had an abortion. Her friend was there at the moment and told me that after that, she started to hate the hospital, so she dropped out of college. Yet, she kept seeing this guy until I came back after I graduated. She then told me that he's a trucker, hence, their escapades were few but still enough. In the years that I was with my ex, the reason, you guys guessed it, it was that he was better than me in bed. It wasn't love or attention, just sex. But later, during our time together, while also trying for a kid ourselves, she got pregnant a second time and she didn't know who was the father. Not wanting to risk the life she had at the time, she called that same friend to accompany her to the hospital and had a second abortion. For me, it was just something to do with her bladder, for what I can remember. Her friend kind of told me some more important revelations, but I was so shocked I couldn't listen anymore. Like, more times they met or what excuses she used. That same day, I went home and cried myself to sleep. Of course, now you can ask what she was doing after we broke up. Well, she went to live with him, and since he goes out most of the time due to his job, she stays at the place he's renting. Almost every time he went out, she came to my home calling for me, asking for forgiveness, saying how bad she felt. At the time, I kind of felt like I was overreacting, but after learning such things about her past, I was seething for the next time she showed up. So, the same week I learned of her cruel past, she came to visit me. Before I knew it, I was lashing out against her, screaming and insulting her. It was loud enough that my throat hurt me for 3 days, and I decided that it was enough, so I went to the police. But when I wanted to press charges for a restraining order against her, the policeman at the time laughed at me, like I was saying a joke, and told me to man up. After that fight, I spoke seriously to my parents since our relationship was kinda rocky from them supporting my ex, but now they fully support me and kind of stopped that boomerish way of thinking. But I never saw my ex again after that time. After I knew, a whole month went by in silence while I tried to fix the bits and pieces of my life, thanks to friends and coworkers trying to cheer the gloomy guy. Now I can start the actual update, and before that, I must add a trigger warning for those that have problems with abuse or death in general. Now, around 5 days ago, while working, I received a couple of calls from my mother, which I cut, then messaged her on my break. She then told me to check the Facebook link she sent me, and it was a video of the news of the town saying about an assault and murder between a man and a woman, the woman, of course, being my ex, and the man, you guessed it, her affair partner. After I closed the video, I unblocked and called her parents to find out if that was true. They couldn't answer me through their crying, but when I came out of work her older brother was waiting for me to tell me the news and that he would love if I could go to her funeral, at least to forgive her. I obliged, but my feelings were completely empty for her. I arrived with my parents, and her whole family came to greet me, some telling me how much they missed me. Then, when I got in, I kind of felt like I wanted to see her one last time, perhaps shed a tear one last time, but they had to mourn her with the casket closed due to the damage done to her face, so the last time I saw her was her shocked crying face as I shouted her. I said my piece at the time, and later she was buried. After her burial, the brother, who was the friend of the cheating guy, came to talk to me. First, he apologized because he also knew most of the cheating that was going around but decided to keep it quiet because of her parents' and sister's new comfortable life. Then he explained to me that while she was living with him, it wasn't all roses. He cheated on her during his travels and boasted about it to his friends, and verbally abused her, and physically once, but cut it after the older brother threatened him. He told me a neighbor of theirs called the police 3 times on them, and that she sometimes slept at her older brother's house. But since he's taking care now of his parents, the teenage sisters, and at the time his pregnant wife, the brother couldn't keep her for long, so she always returned to him until now, this last time. From what that same brother told me, it seems they fought the night before, and it got serious enough that he ended up killing her. The neighbor heard the screams and quickly called the police, but by the time they arrived, it was too late, he ran away. So for now, there's no justice for her. Now, my feelings. Well, I'm quite numb, to be honest. Perhaps still not touching ground, but to be honest, this is not the end I wanted to post or the karma she should have gotten. I know it's not the usual update one can expect, but thank you for reading it and for the comments on the last post. I will continue to lurk as I always did and hope for the best. With that said, thank you for your time. Stories number 29. Aita for calling myself, 18F, disabled in front of a disabled person. 2 weeks ago, I started an internship at a data analytics firm. Apparently at the beginning of every summer they hold a barbecue to welcome the new interns and give them a chance to get to know everyone outside of work. The barbecue was held at my boss's house and about 25 people were expected to come. My boss had set up a volleyball net, and after everyone was finished eating, people started teaming up and heading over to play. One of my coworkers asked me to join their team, but I politely declined. I explained that I have a disability and couldn't play. I didn't explain much further because the disability that I have is an extremely rare genetic disorder that is difficult to explain, so I usually just keep it pretty bare minimum. If people want to ask about it, they always do. Well, one of my other coworkers is disabled and uses a wheelchair. She was close enough nearby to hear what I said and shot me a real dirty look when I said I had a disability. She said that there was no possible way I had a disability, because she sees that I walk fine and have no observable impairments. This caught me a little off guard, because I have never had anyone question whether I was truly disabled or not. I explained to her that I was born with a genetic deformity, and that the bones in my legs had formed incorrectly. I told her that I had many surgeries growing up, and I was in the hospital so often that I had to do school online. She asked me why I even needed those surgeries, so I explained that my knees dislocate very easily and I had difficult walking without popping a knee out. So I spent 7 years having surgeries and in recovery to get me to the point where I could walk again. But, I can't do a lot of things that others can. I can't run. I can't jump. I can't pivot easily, and I definitely can't play sports. I always joke that if my life depended on it I could run, but I wouldn't make it more than a block. She argued with me back and forth and said that my condition isn't really a disability. I feel really bad. I have always classified it as a disability, because I don't know what else to call it. I never thought that it would be offensive to others. Either way, my coworker stormed off or I decided to just go home. So Aita for calling myself disabled in front of my disabled coworker. Edit. Wow, thank you for all of your support. I'm so grateful to read all of your personal experiences with this issue and I wish you all the best. I will be using the term invisible disability going forward because it is important to spread awareness about them. Stories number 30. Aita for giving my wife a dirty plate to eat off of at dinner. My wife is a nurse, and she works long hours, therefore, I handle everything in the household. She has been picking up more shifts recently because the hospital is understaffed. I am the one doing the chores, taking care of the kids, making food, and I also work. It's all me. She has one chore, and that is when she comes home, she needs to do the dishes. The kids are usually asleep by the time she gets home, so I usually make dinner for the kids and wait until she gets home to reheat the food for her. The main issue is that she has not been cleaning the dishes. I have talked to her multiple times, but nothing has changed. She gets home, eats, and goes right to bed. She always claims she is too tired after her shift to do the dishes, and when I suggest she does them in the morning, she claims there is not enough time before she needs to get to work. It is extremely frustrating to wake up and they are not done, that leads to me having to do the dishes at some point. We talking about this again last Saturday and she has not done the dishes since, for days of not doing them, and I have not done them either. I have ran out of dishes and served dinner to the kids on paper plates tonight. She got home after the kids were asleep and I handed her a dirty plate to eat off of. I told her that she can use that to reheat the food. We was not happy and we got into an argument. She called me a dick for handing her a dirty plate to eat off of and that I was home so I would have cleaned some dishes. I pointed out that this is her job and I am not going it. That if she want clean the dishes then she can eat off a dirty plate. She is calling me a jerk. I told my sister of the situation and she said I am being petty. I don't think I am. Edit, because people have continued to ask. I work in construction 40 to 50 hours. She works in the hospital 36 to 60, highly dependent on what is happening at the hospital, if she picks up more shifts or not. 36 is her normal and she depending on the week if she grabs 1 to 2 extra shifts. Stories number 31. Cats became yellow overnight. Woke up this morning to 2 of my cats all bright yellow in the face neck area. The first cat's bed is also colored where he lays his head. We do have 2 bouquets but we've had them for almost a week and this is new and I don't know if they could be causing it. Is this potentially dangerous? Thanks in advance LOL. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Lilies aren't just toxic to cats, they're deadly. Take them to the vet ASAP. Commenter 2. I work in a vet ER and I really wish all florists would mention that lily is toxic. We get dozens of new cases every holiday. Especially Mother's Day and Easter, it's honestly heartbreaking. Mini update. Updating, they've been bathed against their will and I'm calling the vet now. It's tough because I don't have a car and only 1 cat crate but thanks for all the comments. Commenter. Shove them in and walk if needed. Lilies are deadly to cats. Your cats will likely hate being forced in close proximity but a few scratches and hisses is better than 2 dead cats. Please, Uber or whatever, just get to the vet. This is life or death. Mini update. Update. Cats will most probably be okay. We are back home from the vet with fluids to hydrate and rinse out any toxins, and we are going back tomorrow for a checkup. Thanks to everyone who said kind words and genuinely wanted to help. I love my cats and have had cats my whole life. I like to think I'm a pretty great pet parent and this is my first oversight ever, though it's a pretty huge one. I've definitely learned and will know for the future. To anyone calling me dumb, uneducated, unworthy to have pets, okay. At least I know I truly care for them, even if it doesn't show in my words. Update. Hello all. My post blew up so much and I wanted to make an update to people who asked. So apparently my cats are supersonic because both showed no symptoms and are thriving right now, even with the insane amount of pollen they had on them. After the visit to the we had a bag of 4 fluids we had to inject them with twice a day. It was awful for them but they got through it and now they're both extra cuddly, i.e. a side effect from going to the vet. The photos are from today, they're both chilling RN. I also wanted to give a bit of context for my first post. I don't live alone and the bouquet of flowers was not for me, so I didn't pay it too much attention. I know my cats like to get into plants but they hadn't got into the flowers, even after a week, so I didn't think to put them higher up. Call me irresponsible or whatnot, but I def learned from this and got super lucky. But maybe I won't be next time, so this was a good learning experience, haha. Thanks to all the people who left nice messages, shared stories, said they learned something new or checked up on them through DMS. I hope you're having a wonderful day, smiley face. Stories number 32. Aita for not checking on my dad's pregnant girlfriend when she was in the hospital while he was out of town. My dad and I, 17M, don't have the greatest relationship and never really had. It was one of the reasons my parents divorced and he was always very emotionally distant with me. That hasn't really changed. He started dating Mona 2 years ago and they're expecting a baby together. Her pregnancy has been really complicated, so she was hospitalized several weeks ago and she hasn't come out of the hospital since. I don't know any details other than that. My dad had to work out of town for 2 weeks last month, which isn't unusual for him. He's done it almost my whole life. He wanted me to check on Mona and visit her while he was gone. I told him up front I wasn't doing that, but he told me it was important and I should want to check on the baby at least. But I didn't want to check on Mona or the baby, so I didn't check on her. After 2 days Dad called to yell at me and I hung up on him. He ended up cutting his work trip short because Mona went into premature labor. Dad expected me to go be with her until he got there and I refused. He got there and they stopped it, but then my dad turned his attention to me. The last 3 or 4 weeks are the most he's ever contacted me. Like ever. And it's all to berate me for not checking in on her and going to her when he asked me to. He asked me what kind of son I was and I told him I'm a good son to the mom who was a real parent to me and a disinterested son to the disinterested dad in my life. I think Mona had the baby since because she went into labor again. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I think so, and he's still trying to scream at me for not visiting. Stories number 33. Aita for throwing a cup of cold water on my naked husband. Edit. My husband does not have ADHD. He was tested last year. He was so certain that he had it that he made his therapist review his scores and speak with the person who gave the exam. The test giver and his therapist have reiterated that he absolutely does not have ADHD. His scores were nowhere close. 2 mental health professionals have checked twice. He does not have ADHD. My husband has been tested for ADHD, but he doesn't have it. He has the kinds of problems that are associated with ADHD, however. He says writing lists, making a schedule, setting alarms, etc., is physically painful for him and he'd rather just deal with occasional emergencies rather than be proactive. The specific problem: he often forgets to push the shower diverter valve down. You know, the little rod on the tub faucet that you push down to make water fill the tub, and pull up to make the water come out of the shower. For nearly 20 fucking years, I have been asking him to push that down. Since I was literally a teenager, I have been asking him to push that fucking thing down. At least twice a month I have a very unpleasant wake-up cold shower, because I turn the water on, and I get a cold spray from the shower. And every fucking time he's apologetic, and then a week or 2 later, it happens again. He will do better for a while, and then it slips in again. He is always telling me that he's working on it, and hasn't he been better about it lately? But somehow he's always working on it, always improving, but it never fucking stops. Today I had just fucking had it. I stepped into the shower, turned it on, and had a very cold and rude awakening. I couldn't fucking take it anymore. I grabbed the cup by the sink and filled it about 3 inches with cold water, and walked out to where he was standing naked. He had just taken off his pajamas and was going to take his shower after mine. Without warning, while he was looking down, I held that plastic cup firmly in my hand, and grasping it tightly, I jerked that motherfucker in a 45-degree angle to get that cold water all over his torso and face. I told him that his apologies were worth the paper they were written on, and I was tired of listening to him congratulate himself for getting better when I had been asking for 20 fucking years to stop doing this shit. I told him I don't accept his apologies, and the fact that it's an accident does not excuse it. I told him that from now on, every time I'm taking a cold shower, so is he. That I refuse to be a second-class citizen in my own home any longer, and if he refuses to make changes to treat me better, I will instead make changes to treat him worse, because I will not tolerate this any longer. I'm going to continue to surprise throw a cold cup of water on him every time I get a surprise cold shower. I'm tired of fucking asking begging for basic fucking respect and not getting it, with the implication that I have to fucking put up with this forever. So Reddit, I know I'm probably an asshole, but am I a justified asshole? Edited to add the forgotten words asking begging. Edit to answer the questions everyone is asking. Question: why don't I just check myself? Why do I expect him to leave it the way I want it left? A. I don't expect him to leave it the way I want. What I expect is for him to leave things the way he found them. When he walks into the bathroom, it's pushed down. That's how I leave it. So he doesn't get blasted with cold water. But he doesn't leave things the way he found them. Instead, he often leaves the last 10 or 20% of a task for me to clean up for him. Question: why don't I leave it the way I found it? Why don't you leave it up if he leaves it up? A. If I left things the way I found them, I would live in a sty. I would also spend a great deal of energy making things messy, as I would literally be cleaning up to make space for myself, and then undoing that work to put things back as a mess. Stories number 34. Aita for removing pride flags from my store. I'm 34F and I own a small jewelry store. The aesthetic is very clean and minimal. No posters, signs, or flags. I've always kept it that way to maintain a consistent, upscale look. Today one of my employees, 22F, came in and put up a few small pride flags without asking me. One was taped near the register, another in the front window, and she pinned a rainbow flag to a necklace display. I didn't say anything in front of customers. I just took them down later, put them in the back, and left a note asking her to please check with me first before changing anything in the store. She came in later, saw they were gone, and got cold toward me. I told her calmly that I don't allow any flags or messaging in the store, not because I'm against pride, but because I keep the space neutral. No pride flags, no political flags, nothing. It's always been that way. She told me I was being close-minded and that it's literally just a flag. I didn't argue. I just repeated that nothing personal goes in the display space and that if she had issue with that, she can leave if it's this big of a problem. Now tonight I'm seeing comments show up on our Google reviews calling the store bigoted and saying we're anti-LGBTQ. I'm guessing she told people what happened. This wasn't me trying to take a stance. I just don't allow anything like that in the store because it doesn't fit the environment I've built. Aita for taking them down. Stories number 35. Aita for taking my grandma to eat lobster. My, 19, maternal grandma, 79, has been living with us since my grandpa passed away 2 years ago. Said the house reminded her too much of him. Last year, she got a health checkup at the hospital. The doctor warned her that her LDL level has gotten high and that she has to start watching what she eats. Didn't prescribe medicines though. She has made changes. Replaced potato chips with fruits like kiwi fruits. No longer eats junk food. Her diet now consists mainly of fish and vegetables. Yesterday she asked if I could drive her to a restaurant to have lobster. Since I recently got my driver's license while she decided not to renew hers, she said she knows she won't pass the reflex test and doesn't want to embarrass herself. I hesitated and she said that just one meal wouldn't hurt after her new diet, and that she is going in for a checkup at the end of this month anyways. So I took her there. But my mom was upset when she found out and said that it always starts with just one meal and I should spend more time thinking before doing something. Stories number 36. My 5-year-old nonverbal autistic son spoke his first sentence last night. Last night at bedtime, I was lying with my 5-year-old son. We have had the same routine for the last few years. I usually lay with him and talk about our day, any special events that might be coming up, anything that happened that stood out, etc. As I was rambling on, I gave him a tight squeeze and said, "I love you," as I have done every night for the last 5 years of his life. He lifted his head off my chest and looked at me with a big smile and said, "I love you mama." I was in such shock I wasn't sure I heard it right. He has always babbled and sometimes those babbles sound like words. My eyes filled with tears and I said, "Did you just say?" And he smiled bigger and said it again more enthusiastically. For so long I've waited and wished for those 4 little words. I am so happy and proud and can't even put into words how I feel. I didn't realize how that sentence would change absolutely everything. It's like something clicked. He's been talking all day today trying to mimic everything he hears. I am in just complete awe. Edit. I just wanted to thank everyone for all of your kind words, it means so much. I also wanted to say to all the parents waiting for this moment, never stop trying, never stop talking, they are listening and observing everything. Even before he ever said a word, he communicates with me in so many unique ways and I would never ever have questioned his love for me, even with no words. Never lose hope and always lead with patience and love. Stories number 37. My brother tried to bring his entire wedding party to my house. So, I, 32M, live in a house I bought a few years ago after saving for what felt like forever. Nothing fancy, 3 bedrooms, a modest yard, just outside Denver. It's mine, I worked my ass off for it, and I like my space. My younger brother, 30, is getting married next month. Cool, I'm happy for him. I've been helping where I can, I paid for part of the rehearsal dinner, helped with the DJ, but last weekend, he dropped this on me, "Hey, just a heads up, we're planning to get ready at your house the morning of the wedding." I thought, okay, him and the groomsmen. Fine, but then he added, "and the bridesmaids too. There's, like, 14 people total. We'll get there around 6 a.m. 14 people. In my home. Before sunrise. With makeup artists, photographers, hair tools, and God knows what else. Did I mention his wedding is an hour away from my house? So I asked, why not get ready at the venue or the hotel you booked? He shrugged and said, yours is nicer and it's free. I told him no. Politely, at first. But he pushed. Come on, man, don't be selfish. We don't have the budget for this stuff. You're not even using your guest rooms, right? Because I live here. I use those rooms for office space and for my own friends and family when I invite them. He actually tried to guilt me by saying, you're always so particular about your space. It's just a house. Nah, dude. It's not just a house. It's my house. It's my boundary. When I held firm, he got mad and tried to turn my parents against me. They backed me up shockingly fast. Now he's giving me the cold shoulder and keeps telling people I bailed on helping with the wedding. Meanwhile, I've spent hundreds already. Let this be a lesson. Some people think family means free access to your stuff. Stories number 38. My best friend is dying, and I'm selfishly relieved our plans are cancelled. My best friend, Sarah, 35F, was diagnosed with aggressive pancreatic cancer 6 months ago. She's been in and out of the hospital, undergoing grueling treatments, and it's been an incredibly painful and difficult time for everyone. We've been friends since kindergarten, and I love her like a sister. She recently decided to stop treatment. She's in hospice now, and the doctors say she has weeks, maybe a couple of months at most. She's trying to make the most of her remaining time, and she has this whole bucket list: a trip to the coast, a big party with all our friends, a final hike up our favorite mountain. And I'm relieved. I'm utterly, profoundly ashamed to admit it, but I'm exhausted. Mentally, emotionally, financially. Every visit to the hospital drains me. Every phone call is about her declining health. Every conversation is steeped in sorrow and forced positivity. I've been her primary emotional support, her chauffeur, her errand runner, her everything. I've taken so much time off work, my job is suffering. My own mental health is in the toilet. Now, with her in hospice, most of these big, demanding plans are being cancelled or scaled back drastically. And a part of me, a truly horrible part, is feeling a wave of relief. I can finally breathe. I can finally rest. I love her. I am heartbroken she's dying. But I also feel like a despicable, selfish human being for finding peace in the cessation of her suffering, because it means my own burden lightens. I hate myself for it. Stories number 39. Aita for telling a woman at the gym that she's embarrassing herself. I go to the gym a lot. About 6-ish months ago I noticed a woman I'll call Andrea. That's not her name, but it will be for the rest of this post. I don't know if Andrea started going to the gym 6 months ago or if that's just when I noticed her. Full disclosure, I spoke to her first, but I had no way of knowing what the result would be. A lot of the machines at this gym have little entertainment systems attached to them that can access local channels. I got on a treadmill and realized the TV on the treadmill wasn't working. Andrea was walking past and I said, "Hey, do you know if there's an issue with the cable? This TV isn't working, but I don't know if it's just this one or all of them." She said the same thing happened to her on a different machine. I thanked her. That was the whole interaction. A week later she asked me for some electrolyte powder for her water. I said I didn't have any. She was cool with that and asked me how long I'd been coming to the gym and what I did for work. I answered and returned her questions. She said she was new to the area and worked in private security. We had a few more chill conversations after that. 6 weeks ago she asked me out. For reasons I won't get into here, I wasn't interested. I declined. She said not to worry about things being awkward at the gym if we don't work out. I said that wasn't the issue, just not looking to date right now. She kept talking to me, and at first I kept talking to her, but I started to think something might be wrong, and I started avoiding her. 2 weeks ago she walked up to me while I was on a machine with only one way to properly dismount that involved stepping into wheat she was standing. She asked if I was avoiding her. I said I was and apologized. I said I just don't want to date right now. She said I don't have to avoid her to not date her. I said okay. I kept avoiding her though. Tonight while I was working out she confronted me again about avoiding her. I had a bad day and told her to leave me alone. She asked why I'm being such a prick, and I said because I wanted her to leave me alone. I then said that she was embarrassing herself and needs to stop. She put her foot on top of the weights, and I thought she was going to press down on them, so I let go of the bar very quickly, causing the weights to slam and make a loud noise. Several people looked over. She said, "Now who's embarrassing himself," and walked away. Did I go too far by saying that? Do I owe her an apology? Update. I went in early this morning for a run and told the front desk staff about Andrea putting her foot on the weights. They said they would talk to her. Then, after work, I went in again for a regular workout. I was working on my legs when she walked up to my machine. The first thing she did was apologize about the weights. I don't know if someone talked to her or if that was of her own initiative. I accepted her apology and apologized for saying she was embarrassing herself. She said she forgave me, but if I wanted to really make it up to her I could buy her a drink and she would buy me one too to make up for the weights. I said maybe we should buy our own drinks, meaning separately at different places and times, and she misunderstood me and asked when and where. I told her I meant that I didn't want to go out with her. She said this wouldn't be a date but a reset for our friendship. I said I didn't want to be friends. She said I was being a douche and asked what my problem is. I said the wait incident made me uncomfortable, and I would rather us just give each other space. She then asked me if my problem with her is that she's Hispanic. I was so taken aback. I didn't even know she was until she said that. I said no, that she just makes me uncomfortable. She wanted me to explain what about her made me uncomfortable, and I tried to do so, but she argued with every point I made. I got frustrated and told her to just stay away from me. She said fine and that I have a lot of maturing to do. Then she walked away. I'm hoping that's the end of it. Stories number 40. My cousin threw a tantrum because my graduation party wasn't about her. So this happened a few weeks ago, but I'm still kind of baffled. I, 25M, just graduated with my master's, and my parents threw me a small get-together with close family and friends. Nothing too fancy, just some food, music, and the people I care about. Everything was going great until my cousin, let's call her Kayla, 27F, showed up. Kayla has always had main character energy, if you know what I mean. She walks into the backyard, doesn't say hi to anyone, and immediately complains about the heat. Then she loudly says, why would anyone throw a party without fans or AC? For the record, we had plenty of shade and cold drinks, and no one else seemed to mind. She spends most of the afternoon side-eyeing the decorations and telling anyone who will listen that she also deserves a party because she got promoted. Which, cool, but that was like 3 months ago. It's not the same thing. The moment that really got me was when we were about to cut the cake. My mom brought out this cute graduation cake, and right before I blew out the candles, Kayla asked if she could be in the photo too because she had a big milestone to celebrate. I thought she was joking, but nope. She was serious. When we said no, she actually sulked, sat by herself for a bit, and then left early. But not before telling my mom that, next time, maybe include everyone. Like, what? Most people just brushed it off, but I'm still kind of amazed at how entitled she acted. Has anyone else had someone try to hijack your moment like that? Stories number 41. My 26F, fiancé, 31M, got a new assistant at work. Hi y'all, 26F and 31M. We've been engaged since Christmas and our whole relationship has been a total fairy tale, he's my rock. Here's the tea. He got this huge promotion last month that involves travel and a new assistant, which is great. But his new assistant, Rachel, 24F, is a little much. I met her once at a company happy hour last month and she was super sweet. But she also told me I was so lucky and that she hoped to find a guy just like him someday. Whatever TF that means. She texts him at all hours sending him memes and really pushing the whole mentorship thing. He says she's just young and he's trying to be a good mentor, which makes sense cause he's genuinely one of the kindest people I've met. Last week he had this business trip to Chicago and Rachel went with him because that's literally her job, right? But when I was helping him unpack, I found this receipt from a really fancy restaurant, way fancier than what his company usually approves for expenses. I didn't get to look at the bill before he said, I need that, and I just handed it over to him. When I asked about it he got kind of weird and said they had to take a client there, but then changed the subject super fast. I didn't press him. Then I was looking through our shared cloud for a picture and saw that he screenshotted Rachel's Insta story from that same night, at that same restaurant. It was a pic of just the two of them, looking all cozy in a booth with a caption that said, "Best boss ever." He said the client took the picture right before they had to leave and that the dinner was a celebration for landing the account. I wasn't too concerned until this morning, when phone was buzzing on the nightstand while he was in the shower. I saw a preview that said, "Last night was exactly what I needed, White Heart." White Heart's not a romantic heart, but I still was shocked. I showed him the phone after he got out and he just laughed, accusing me of snooping jokingly, and showed me his texts, and it was just them talking about a presentation and her career. But that one message felt so out of place. Am I clueless? P.S. He just told me as I'm writing this he's going to have to start flying to LA once a month for the new development in LA and help Rachel get settled in the new office he got her promoted to. He said it's a great excuse for us to have little weekend getaways. I don't know what to think or how to feel. Oh boy, we're in for a ride. Edit at bottom. Hey y'all, thank you for all the perspective and care on my last post. I can tell this community really wants to save me from pain, and many of you had really articulate perspectives. The situation is a little complex still. There were 2 other accidents I didn't mention in my original post on my profile, links aren't allowed here. So the accidents. 1. Apparently Rachel called him as he was driving home from work this week crying about a family emergency. He tried to talk her through it but he ended up meeting her at a cafe before he came back for dinner. I was concerned, and as soon as he walks in I saw lipstick on his collar. I was hesitant but like that's damning evidence. He said, "She hugged me, I didn't realize." Sir, you cannot be playing with my emotions like that. He was very transparent about their chat and had to believe him, so I shrugged it off, telling him he shouldn't be seeing her after work hours. 2. Spotify on desktop shows you what your friends are listening to. At work he was listening to a playlist named Iterative Flow Q2, it was collaborative and had only one other editor. It was mostly like 2014 chill step, except one song, I Feel Like I'm Drowning, which, if you've ever heard that song, go play it lol. We were driving, he hands me his phone, add anything you want to the Q2 list, you have good taste, needs more chaos, feels like he's playing the field. After reflecting on this in the bath I had to bring all this up, I didn't mention the Reddit post. He was calm when I confronted him about emotionally cheating. I brought up the receipts and the screenshot and he admitted it was a little over the line. You're right to be concerned, I should have been clearer about boundaries from the start. He wasn't deflecting and he was apologetic that these things made me feel this way. He assured me he didn't feel anything towards her, and I shouldn't feel threatened just because she knows how to get her way. He suggested we all grab drinks together at trivia night so I could see their dynamic. I went to bed feeling like I'd been a little unfair but glad I brought it up. So last night after reading all the comments, I met him at the bar. I was a bit wary but optimistic. He's at a high top with her and 2 other girl co-workers. They're laughing, he sees me and introduces me to everyone as my R&D funnel for creative problem solving. He orders drinks for us and gets her a seltzer before she asks. During trivia, they both slapped the bar at the exact same second when they knew the answer like they've rehearsed it. I wanted to drink every time she finished his sentences. Driving home, he says, she just mirrors people really well. She reminds me of someone I knew, and didn't tell me who that might be. Is that praise or a confession? I press him saying I feel like he's giving her way more attention than is reasonable and he needs to stop for everyone's sake. Her crush on him shouldn't get in the way of our relationship and his career. I ask him, isn't this emotional cheating, and he hesitated before saying, it's not like that. Y'all, he proceeded to open a note on his phone and passed it to me. He had documented every interaction with Rachel for the past month with times, contexts, and images. It had her little emergencies, it had the screenshot of them together at the restaurant in it and call logs and other Zoom call transcripts I didn't know about. It was overwhelming and I barely skimmed it. He said she's brilliant and manipulative, and that he needed a case before going to HR. I was handling it and didn't want to worry you with something I could manage. He said he's going to schedule a meeting with their boss to talk about what to do next. I asked him if the dinner in Chicago really was with a client and he said yes and no. We were celebrating landing an account with a client, but I also needed to ask her something I can't tell you right now, you just have to trust me. I honestly had a big sigh of relief that I didn't have to be as tense about the whole thing, but I am having trouble communicating the fact that they seem to need each other for whatever reason, but I can't let it go on like how he's been doing. But I'm worried that if the boss will see it like he does because he went along with it. Is there a good reason for why he didn't include me in this? He never outright lied to me, but he definitely curated what I saw. He probably could have shut her down more, but I was looking for reasons to not break off the engagement. He's the type to be in control, but sometimes I wonder if he likes the game a little too much. I think I'm going by him. That book, Not Just Friends, by Shirley Glass. Edit. Holy moly, you guys have really made me pick up on some inconsistencies. About why I trust him. He's always played chess while me and everyone else thought checkers, but his endgame has always been for our good. I trust that he always has us in his heart, and choosing to trust him gives me more peace than anxiety. Because he's never full-blown cheated, at least, that's my confidence in him. Why haven't he or I told her off? I'm not sure the situation calls for that entirely. Why the secrecy with me? He's always worked to keep stress off me. He puts in his heart and soul every day to keep our household thriving. I am grateful that love exists so we can share it together. Stories number 42. My family is making a homophobic cake decorator make hundreds of pride cakes. This one grocery store in my town offers custom cakes out of their bakery section, not a Walmart. Their only cake decorator is a nasty bitch of a woman with even nastier opinions about gay people, and she is a real piece of work, let me tell you. One of my siblings who is LGBT+ works in the store, too, and they've been fed up with this lady for a while. Well, a couple days ago, this sibling told my family that for their upcoming birthday, they want us to custom order them a pride-themed cake from the store so that this homophobic woman will have to make a cake that stands for everything she so openly hates. My family is going to do this, but we're doing so much more than that, too. One of my other siblings already ordered a pride cake so that we could all have cake just because. My mother ordered a pride cake to give to our favorite, an openly gay, barista at a coffee shop we like. My wife ordered a pride cake just because she loves me and knows I love cake. You see where this is going? I have a lot of siblings. My siblings have families and friends. I have family and friends. And our family and friends have their own share of family and friends, and so on. And because we're not pieces of shit, and because in my family, we all share a powerful strand of petty DNA, we all are ordering pride cakes. This homophobic cake decorator will be making hundreds of pride cakes this month, and the icing on the pride cake. The cake decorator's manager saw the first cake, the first one my sibling ordered, and loved the concept. The manager figures they can sell extra cakes this month if they advertise that they can theme them for Pride Month. She's definitely right, so she told the decorator to make one for the display case. Now, all the LGBT+ in town will see it, and this homophobic waste of space will have to make even more pride cakes. Sometimes, life is beautiful. It brings me genuine joy to think of this woman spending her month making more cakes than this town orders in a typical year, and all of them themed for pride. Stories number 43. Aita for locking the office fridge after someone kept stealing my lunch. I, 34M, work in a small office with about 10 people. We share a communal kitchen, including one fridge. Over the past month, my lunch has been stolen 5 times. Not just random snacks, entire homemade meals I bring from home, gone without a trace. It's not just frustrating, it's expensive and messes up my day. I mentioned it a couple of times in the group chat, like, hey, someone's been taking my lunches. Please stop. Everyone either ignored it or sent vague messages like, ugh, that sucks, or, some people are the worst, but no one took responsibility. So I bought a mini fridge and put it under my desk. Nothing fancy, just enough to hold my meal and a drink. I also put a little lock on it just for extra peace of mind. Since then, no more stolen lunches. Well, last Friday, one of my co-workers, I'll call her Dana, 29F, confronted me during lunch and said it was weird and selfish that I had a personal fridge. She said it made me look paranoid and not part of the team. I said I was tired of my food being stolen, and this was the only solution that worked. She said I should have just brought stuff I wouldn't care about losing, like snacks or microwave meals, if I was so worried. A couple of others have now made little comments like, don't let him see your lunch, he might lock it up, or, we get it, you're special. I'm starting to feel like the weirdo in the office just for protecting my stuff. Aita for locking up my lunch instead of letting this keep happening. Stories number 44. My friend served all his wedding guests meatless pizzas at a black tie in the middle of nowhere, and now I'm traumatized. My friend, the groom, invited me to an overseas wedding. Of course, it was positioned to me as a quaint, lovely, farm wedding in the rolling hills. I spent $1,500 on flight tickets, hotels, and my guest attire because he had asked me personally to be there and I wanted to show up for him. Before the wedding, the groom texts me to let me know that while it's optional, feel free to give a cash gift, and even sends me his bank account details so I can prepay. A mutual friend also sent me the wedding menu and shared that from experience he knows that the food was bad. And that their specialty was serving pizzas for weddings. Pizza for a destination wedding. But I gave my friend the benefit of the doubt because I'm no food snob, maybe the pizza would be really good. As long as we are fed, that's not a problem. Local transport to the venue or a shuttle bus to train stations was also not provided, which meant everyone had to drive in after flying in. When we pulled into the venue, one of the guests remarked, I wonder what we would have for dinner. I hope there is a nice food selection. Not wanting to ruin his expectations and put the groom in a bad light, I framed it as, I heard this place was known for pizzas, but I look forward to whatever were being served. Everyone in the car bursts out laughing. Ha ha ha, that's funny, of course we won't be eating pizza. The dress code is black tie. And we all flew in for this too. Enter the shit show. At the altar wedding ceremony, the venue did not have enough seats for all guests. 1/3 of them awkwardly stood around. While waiting for dinner to start, we were served canapés. Unfortunately, the canapés offered were one piece of French fry on a skewer stick, which is wild, and one meatball served on a disposable napkin. The wedding seating plan did not match our name card, so some people got the wrong dietary requirements. Before dinner commenced, the groomsmen let us know that, unfortunately, transport is not provided, so do make sure you get home because there isn't an Uber, and if you don't you'll be stranded here with the goats, and also, please contribute with cash gifts. For our first course, we were presented with meatless pizzas. The portion was so tiny, every guest was given one slice each. For our second course, we were served another round of meatless pizzas. Again, one slice each. Carbonara pizza without egg, mushrooms, and bacon. Like what the F. For the third course, which honestly took the cake, we were supposedly served oven-roasted chicken. Except that it was not roasted. It had no sauce or seasoning either. It was plain, steamed and dry, garnished with a little bit of parsley and lemon wedges. For the sides, it was plain unsalted roasted whole potatoes. When this happened, someone at my table said out loud, I'm sorry, nothing about this looks oven-roasted. Everyone agreed in unison that it didn't look right or appetizing. A waiter spilled champagne on my outfit and walked away nonchalantly without apologizing. Different waiter was meant to serve our desserts but forgot our table. Out of frustration, we walked up to the kitchen area to politely request them. A waiter, I kid you not, took out a tray of frozen store-bought tiny eclairs and placed it in front of us. Hands us a paper napkin and tells us to help ourselves. The wedding cake portion was the size of my thumb. That's how little we were given. Wherever I went, I could hear guests openly complaining about the food and beverages served. Someone said, "This area is known for its wine, so why does the beer taste better than the wine served at this wedding?" For the first dance, we were gathered outside at night in 45 degrees Fahrenheit weather. Without heaters or blankets. Just raw-dogging our outfits in the strong winds. We were all so famished, when we left we went to get some proper food in the city. Sigh. I am not a fussy person, but goddammit, if you're going to request for your guests to fly to a different country, wear black tie, give wedding gifts, at least feed them properly please. Stories number 45. My 23F partner, 24M, used our trip fund. I'm incredibly pissed, holding myself back from saying a lot of nasty things. I'm considering breaking up. How do you communicate about something like this? We had been doing deliveries together day and night for this money. It's bad enough I had to hassle and fight for this date to happen. He complained about no time and there's no money. So I help get it, dusk till dawn so that we can do this. We pick a day together. We make most of our goal for the trip. I borrowed a few dollars to get items for the trip. I did put the money back in the next day. I calculate our expected expenses just to make sure our goal is enough. I ask what we have from deliveries in total. This idiot spent it all. It. I of course asked him what happened. He said, some expenses came up, that he had to eat and live as well, we'll make the money back. On top of, if I expect him to feel bad about it, do I expect you to feel bad about spending our trip fund? That I also worked hard on earning? I told him he should have starved before touching that. Bread, butter, and sugar before a finger touched that money. I'm considering ditching him. Ghost. I was looking forward to that trip. I've working hard back to back for so long, I was ready for some peace and solitude at the beach. I needed it, bad. And the money was there for it and it was gone in a day. I can feel myself breaking down a bit. I really don't want to be a vile person to him. Is this something that I should even try to move forward from? It's hard for me to honestly look at him right now. I'm tired of things being stripped from me my whole life. He was the last person that I needed doing that right now. Communication and setting boundaries doesn't feel like it'll fix this. Stories number 46. My BF let his female friend hijack my birthday trip and I'm losing it. We planned a weekend cabin trip for my birthday. Just me and my boyfriend, been together 2 years. I was so excited. I literally bought new pajamas for it. Like soft girly ones with lil strawberries on them. I had a playlist. I had candles. I had a whole sexcation fantasy. 2 days before the trip his friend, this girl he used to hook up with but they're just friends now, LMAO, finds out and is like, ugh, I've been wanting to go there too, and this man invites her to my birthday trip. He didn't even ask me. Just told me. Like, she's been really stressed with work and honestly she's chill, she won't be in our way. I stared at him like a dead camera. He had the audacity to be confused like what? I'm sorry, do you want me to braid her hair and spoon feed her marshmallows? So I said no. I told him it was weird and uncomfortable and absolutely not happening. This man gets mad. Like actually mad, said I'm being possessive and insecure and it's not that deep. I cancelled the trip. Told him to go take her if he wants her there so bad. Now his friends are texting me like, you overreacted, and she's part of the friend group. It wasn't personal, no one even told me happy birthday. I spent the day alone watching The Parent Trap in silence, eating half a cake with a spoon. I know I'm not crazy but also like, am I being dramatic? Is this some 2024 progressive friend group thing I missed? Because man, I'm spiraling. Should I just dump him? Why do men have no self-awareness, or is it me typing this with frosting in my hair? Stories number 47. Now my other coworker is acting like me being out in the morning tomorrow is an issue. First, one of my coworkers flipped out because she has tomorrow off, even though my being out for a few hours in the morning is not going to affect her day off whatsoever, and she knows this. That post is still up. Now my other coworker is whining. Well, are you going to at least be back by 12:30 p.m. so I can take a lunch? Are you kidding? Our boss literally lets us lock up the office and go to lunch if we're working solo. This is a very well-known thing. I do it all the time, as I find myself constantly working in the office alone. We've all done it before. It's not that serious. I need to take my husband to one damn appointment. He broke his hand and cannot drive, and it's like the place is going to burn down. What about my lunch? You'll still get a lunch. I already have the day off. Then take your day off WTF. They've both worked here much longer than me and know good and damn well how lax it is when needing time off. Believe me, they take advantage of it plenty. Neither of them have any qualms leaving me to work in the office by myself for hours, even multiple days. And I just go with it. I prefer working alone actually. What the hell are they going to do when I'm on vacation for a week and a half next month if they're acting like this over me just coming in late for one day? By the way, just a couple months ago, the same coworker whining about her day off had absolutely no issue telling me she'd be out for 2 days when her son broke his collarbone. She knew I'd be in the office by myself for 2 days. You know what I said to her? I told her to take all the time she needs, I'll take care of things in the office, family comes first. And wished quick healing for her son. Stories number 48. AIO for being annoyed. My coworker brings her crying baby to every virtual meeting. I, 31F, work remotely, and so does my coworker, Sarah, 33F. We're on a team that has several virtual meetings a day. Sarah has a newborn, about 3 months old. She's on maternity leave, but she frequently pops into meetings, sometimes just to listen in or for quick updates. The issue is, she always has her baby with her, and the baby is almost always crying or fussing loudly in the background. It's not just a little coo, it's often full-blown wailing or persistent loud babbling right into her microphone. She rarely mutes herself, even when the baby is really loud. It's incredibly distracting. I understand she's a new mom, and it's tough, but it makes it almost impossible to focus on the meeting content or hear what others are saying. It also feels unprofessional. Today, during a crucial client meeting, the baby started screaming during a colleague's presentation. Sarah just kept shushing it loudly into her mic. After the meeting, I privately messaged her, "Hey, I totally get it's tough with a newborn, but maybe for client meetings, you could mute yourself or step away if the baby is really crying. It's hard to hear." She responded, "Wow. Are you seriously complaining about a baby? I'm a working mom, I'm doing my best. You clearly don't understand." She's now telling other colleagues I'm insensitive and don't support working mothers. Am I overreacting for asking her to manage the audio disruption during professional meetings? Stories number 49. Entitled Coworker thinks my day off means free overnight childcare. I work as a nanny. This morning at work, the cook who I'm friendly with but not close to casually walks up to me and says, "Hey, I see you are very good with kids. Can you watch my twins next Saturday night? It's my day off and I know it's yours too, so you'll be free. It's just overnight." No, please, no offer, just assumed I'd do it. I ask where she lives, it's 20 minutes away. I ask if she's covering gas or offering any pay. She says, "We are tight on money right now. But it'll be super chill. They go to bed by 9. You can just crash on the couch." I politely tell her I can't do an unpaid overnight job. She gives me this look and says, "Wow. I thought you liked kids and it happens to be your off day too." I already told them someone fun was coming. I replied her, "Excuse me. I like kids, but that doesn't mean I'm a free on-demand sleepover nanny for coworkers. And you told your kids I was coming before even asking me?" I then left her and walked away. Stories number 50. Wibta if I tell HR about my past with a new coworker. I, 34M, am a lead developer on a team of mid-sized SaaS company that has around 100 or so employees. Basically we are large enough that there are employees we can see, recognize, but not necessarily know their names. Recently, we had a new hire, Krista, 33F, who joined the PM part of the project I am working on. I have a history with Krista from college. In college I was a lot more in my own shell, I didn't really treat myself well, and was very much the introverted nerd, down to bad posture and poor fashion sense. Krista, she did have quite a few friends in college, but at least in my view she wasn't super popular, but she was well-liked and was conventionally attractive. We shared a few classes together and one day asked me for some help on an assignment. I helped her on it and we talked, and from the sound of things, she seemed genuinely friendly to me. I helped her on a few more assignments and finally she asked me if I wanted to meet her after class at a coffee shop and talk. I said sure, and when I got there, Krista was nowhere in sight. I waited about 20 minutes before I called her. She answered and started laughing, and I heard several other voices laughing, Krista saying something like, "Why would I want to date a fat loser like you?" Looked out the front window of the shop and saw one of Krista's friends holding up her camera phone and it looked like she was recording. Next few weeks there were jokes about me, flyers with my face from the coffee shop vid plastered up with "creep" in bold letters on top. Kept my head down, and within a month the next big thing popped up on campus and I was forgotten. Didn't stop Krista and her friends from going DW. Creep, when they saw me, but I guess for the rest of the campus it got old, so I never got accused of anything, or even really ostracized by the rest of the student body. After college, I did learn about self-care a bit better, plus I usually am with other programmers so I really don't stand out as a social outcast. When Krista was introduced to our team, I don't think she recognized me, and it's only been a week, but I want to know if bringing up the college incident is even worth it for HR. Most of my rational brain really wants to just let this go, treat Krista as a new person, and get on with me, but I have a small fear that she might tell a skewed version of the college events and sour the team I'm on against me, so I should at least disclose to HR so in case she does start telling tales I have recourse. Reddit, Wibta if I told HR about my past with Krista. Consensus. Not the asshole. Commenters tell OOP to report this to HR to get ahead of things if anything happens. If she changed, nothing will happen, and if she didn't, there is already a paper trail. Update. Yesterday some things happened, some bad, mostly good. There were mixed responses, most telling me to tell, but one HR professional saying I shouldn't. Due to the mixed messaging, I did consult a local employment lawyer. The lawyer told me that I should make HR aware of the past I have with Krista, but make it clear that there was never anything disciplinary acted upon me in college. He asked if my job had a copy of my transcript, and I verified that it did. Lawyer asked if there were any third parties that would verify the harassment and see if I could get their names and contact details if needed. I knew 2 people back in college that I still had on my LinkedIn and was certain they would tell the truth, so we were good there. Lawyer told me to just request a meeting with HR and my supervisor, say there was a past with Krista, there was never any charges or disciplinary action, and I have 2 witnesses if they ever need verification. So that was what I did. Friday morning I came into the office and sent HR and my supervisor an email requesting a formal meeting at 10 a.m. My supervisor came to my desk and asked if everything was okay, and wanted to make sure I was happy. I told him everything was fine, I wasn't leaving, and it wasn't anything with him or the team. He seemed relieved and by 10 a.m., we rolled into the conference room with the HR officer. I thanked them both for taking time out of their day to meet me, and then I did as my lawyer instructed. I said that the new project manager, Krista, was someone I went to college with, she participated in harassment of me in college, detailed how I never had any charges or disciplinary action, and that I had 2 independent witnesses that saw the harassment and gave their contact info. My supervisor seemed shocked and the HR officer went through the info I gave her for a minute and then the 2 of them talked for a minute. Finally, Krista was called in. When Krista walked into the conference room and saw me, HR, and the team supervisor she seemed shocked. HR started with something like, "We have been told you 2 have a past." Krista sat down and looked pretty shocked throughout. She did admit to the bullying, but tried to reframe it as, a misunderstanding repeatedly. She never outright said what the bullying was, but then she was told that since this was an incident in both our pasts that nobody wants brought up again, that it should stay dead. HR made it clear that this is not to be a funny water cooler story to share. Krista and I both agreed to that, but Krista still looked shaken. Noon was coming up right when the meeting was wrapping up. My supervisor and HR again reiterated, neither of us is to breathe a word about the college incident. We're professionals, and we're here to do a job. I went to the break room for lunch, and actually I felt like my appetite has finally returned. The last few days were stress-starving me to be honest. I sat at a table with the rest of the development team and we started eating. Halfway through my sandwich, another coworker, Sandy, 30F, came by and said, "So I heard an interesting story yesterday about you and Krista," with a big grin on her face. She didn't get further because my supervisor was at our table, stood up, pointed at Sandy, and across the room at Krista and said, "You too." Conference room. Now, I wasn't privy to what happened in the conference room, but I did see the HR officer go into the room 2 minutes later, looking pretty pissed and with a mustard stain on her shirt. I guess she got the call and was interrupted during lunch. Not sure what went on. The rest of my team asked what that was. I said, "I have no idea," and just kept eating. 5 minutes later, 2 more coworkers on other parts of the project were brought into the conference room. Lunch ended and we went back to work, but speculation was high. It wasn't until 3 that the conference room finally emptied. Krista looked like she was crying and the others that were in the room with her seemed to treat her quite coldly. Not sure what this will mean, but it appears for now, Krista is still working here. But I appreciate the lengths HR and my supervisor are taking to ensure this won't blow up further. Update 2. Monday wasn't a shit show, so that was good. My supervisor and the HR officer did bring everyone on the team into the big conference room for the HR officer said that we are a professional company, and while we do like to have fun, there are company outings like golf, bowling, main event, we are to be strictly professional and not gossip about other coworkers' personal lives. Sandy and the two other coworkers who were brought into the conference room Friday looked pretty ashamed during this. Krista was sitting at the other end of the conference room table and there seemed to be a noticeable distance between her and the other employees. My supervisor said he wants to consider this matter closed and for us to get back to offering great solutions to our clients. Everyone filed out of the conference room and went back to work. Lunch on Monday was pretty tense, but Tuesday management had a local Mexican place bring in a Taco Tuesday for us, and the mood improved considerably. I don't gossip, but I did hear murmurs that Krista is now on her final warning and put on a performance improvement plan, all within her first 2 weeks. Not sure how true these rumors are, but with how isolated Krista now appears to be to the rest of the team, it is clear that everyone else is not willing to socialize with her beyond their work functions. I considered this matter closed myself, and if Krista worked hard and got her redemption arc, I'd have been fine with it. But then last night happened. Not sure where Krista got my address, but she was outside my house last night, and luckily my doorbell camera caught it, so I can pretty accurately transcribe it. She rung and asked if we could talk. I said through the digital doorbell there was nothing to talk about, and she better leave because this is now harassment. She pleaded for me to come outside and discuss it. I declined and emphasized she's not welcome. She then said she had a crush on me in college that her friends found out she asked me to coffee and pressured her to turn it into a harassment campaign and she was afraid of them disowning her for liking a guy like me. Guys, I wanted to laugh so fucking hard. I was socially awkward back in college, but even I knew this was bullshit. Hell, I wasn't even interested in Krista for a date, I thought she wanted to be my friend. I told her that I didn't care what she has to say, she has to leave. She told me I could just ask Sandy what she told her and it would clear this all up. I declined and said that this matter in the office is closed. Krista finally made an exaggerated sigh and walked off. I took the video recording from the doorbell and sent it to the employment lawyer and will give it to my supervisor and HR today. I will be shocked if she will last longer than this Friday now. Update 3. Krista is fired. I didn't even have to send HR the doorbell cam vid, but I did send it to the lawyer I was talking to. Lawyer is drafting a cease and desist and potentially a restraining order if needed. Krista somehow got my address from someone in IT. The IT new hire is suspended because of this data breach and everyone got a memo about data security yesterday morning, including the usual about phishing scams. Krista's desk was empty when I came in yesterday morning, and since I'm taking the necessary legal steps, I'm considering this matter closed. Update 4. Krista did show up at my front door one more time. Called the cops, she was removed but not arrested, since she didn't technically do anything yet. Lawyer served her with the cease and desist, and it has been communicated to me that she understands. Work is almost back to normal. No one wants to talk about Krista anymore. I consider this truly resolved now.